Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 203. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Johnny V.
On Tuesday night, like we've always been.
Pretty much. Except for when we're not. So maybe we'll be back on track here with the regular routine. I know my routine is on track with traveling, and I'm just thinking about...
Did you catch up on your sleep?
No, I don't have time for that. I was thinking about how tomorrow I take off. I'm going to be heading down to Emporia, Kansas. Because if you can't get enough of Emporia at the GBO, you go back. And that's exactly what I'm excited to do tomorrow.
Did you miss one of the ice cream stores that are there? Because they've got a bunch of them in Emporia for some reason.
No.
No, you got all those?
No, I did not. Come on now.
Come on, I set you up for that.
The Junior World Championships are taking place there for the next 2 decades. So, no, I'm just kidding. They're taking place there for the next 3 years. They just kicked off. In fact, in about 10 or 12 minutes or so, we're going to check in with the hair, with Robert McCall. He's going to give us some updates from what's going on. I couldn't wait to see him tomorrow, so I said, let's get you on the show tonight. We need more Robert in our lives. So we're going to have Robert McCall join us, and he'll give us... again, where things are at up until this point. I'm excited to get there tomorrow night, and then I'll be kind of, I don't know, do they say boots on the ground? I'll be out there working things and helping out in whatever capacity I can for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as the event concludes. I'm going to rush back to Wisconsin ultimately. There's an A-tier going on here in Wisconsin, the Manitowoc in the Park, which is actually now I think renamed to the Silver Cup.
Silver Cup
depending
now.
on which weekend it is. But there's an A-tier taking place. And I have helped construct, along with Jim Van Lannen, an entire crew of people that are going to be out filming that and getting that ready on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a really big weekend in store. There's a lot of things on my plate and on my mind at the moment. So really looking forward to a big weekend of disc golf. So did I catch up on sleep? No. Got to hang out with my kids. I went to the dentist today. I got in
Any cavities?
No,
you're good.
No. Yeah, everything was good. They took, as always, the most awkward X-rays where they put this thing in your mouth and take 18 different pictures. It was, and at one point I was like, "This is." I love how far technology's come, but at the same time, there has to be a better way to get X-rays of people's mouths than the most uncomfortable things in the world that they have to shove in your mouth to make it happen.
Yeah, the only thing I don't mind that so much. I mean, your mouth jammed open.
You got a big mouth.
I do. What really bothers me, and when they grab your tongue with the dry.
I like that. Yeah, a little cancer screening
with the dry
cloth or whatever.
No,
a little cancer screening. I'm okay with that.
I don't mind the fact that they do it. It's when they touch your tongue and squeeze it. It's like that dry fabric that just kind of gives me the willies. It's like, no, I like my tongue in my mouth, and I like it nice and moist.
Well, you keep it that way, all right? On all accounts. So we're going to then, like I said, we're going to have Robert, assuming we're done talking about mouths for a few minutes, we're going to have Robert join us in about 10 minutes or so. Once we wrap up with Robert, we're going to talk about the biggest superstars in all of disc golf. I mean, the ones we watch every single weekend. We tune in every single weekend to watch these guys. And that, of course, is Jomez.
I see them quite a bit when we're doing live. They're always sitting there. Our cameramen always, before we go live to a shot, when there's still commercials, our cameramen will be panning around or just standing around waiting. And there's almost always, I'm like, oh, there's Jerry. Oh, there's Michael. Every once in a while you see
Jonathan.
You see Jonathan run and get into a position. So I get to see them quite a bit.
And I didn't run this past you. I think it'd be great that as we welcome them to the show, I think it'd be great if we showed the 2-minute clip. As many of you know, last night on ESPN, it was featured it was almost a full 2-minute clip. I'll send you a link. A full 2-minute clip that was featured on SportsCenter that was, we'll say, summarizing Paul McBeth's 18 under par, which of course took place on Saturday. And if you're not excited about the fact that that happened, then I don't know what you want for disc golf. Just the fact that the Aces have been awesome. We've been part of those. We were the second ever, and whether it was me or our crew that helped film, Jonathan and Central Coast, we've all been part of the Ace action on SportsCenter at one time or another. Yeah. It never gets old. I'll say that. I don't feel like that ever gets old. but this was definitely the next step. This was the next level in terms of just overall notoriety and mainstream.
I think
and I think it's cool.
It is. It's beyond cool. It's awesome.
Oh, beyond cool. It's
beyond
BC.
cool. It's BC. But I will say, I think we're very lucky in the time of year that our sport is really ramping up, because this happens in September or October. I don't know if it gets the play because of football. I mean, World Cup isn't. I mean, we're coming up to the finals today.
Maybe, sure.
Something like that in a day or two.
Still kicking stuff around.
Whatever.
I don't know.
But we're kind of at a dead zone for the major sport. So it really benefits us as media to be able to get things like that out there. And when you have something as huge as what Paul just accomplished, and being able to have it captured by Jomez and get it on ESPN, it's all around great. I think this was one of the most exciting weekends I've had in a while for disc golf. We do a lot of disc golf events, a lot of disc golf tournaments and coverage, and a lot of it is kind of ho-hum. You can see a couple of really cool shots, but that particular round, watching it live, was electric. And there were so many great putts that were hit, and obviously great drives, but just the focus that Paul had was like nothing I've probably ever seen in our sport.
Yeah, it was incredibly exciting, and I think back now to the calling of it, and you see Paul and others get off to a great start all the time. You know, oh, he's birdied 5 in a row to get started. Like, you're never really thinking, oh, is this round going to end up being one of the greatest of all times? And is it going to be 18 under when it's all said and done? Like, I'm never thinking those thoughts. And now, experiencing it the way we did, it proves so many things about Paul and his game. And any doubters or second guessing, and even I'm going to say even the idiots that want to say, well, Ricky and Simon and Sexton weren't there, and Eagle
doesn't matter.
Yeah, he still shoots 18 under. What you think they had a 19 or 20 in their back pocket?
No. Here's what I will.
Or he would have been feeling pressure. Like, would that have been the difference?
I don't think Paul feels a heck of a lot of pressure anymore these days. Until it gets really not at an event like this. This is an event that he was heavily favored for. After the first round, shooting a course record, being tied for first place. I don't think there was much of a doubt in his mind that he wasn't going to win. But here is a good thing. Has Paul officially peaked? Can you get any better than 18? I mean, that is a mountain that he may never achieve again. So technically, he's peaked.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's all downhill from here. He's all washed up.
I'm not saying it's a fast downhill. Maybe it's a plateau. Wow. No, I kid. But I think that it is going to be, if I was saying this to a good friend of ours today, if Paul can be just 80% of what he was that round, the rest of the field's in trouble.
Yeah, because even if he's 6 inches off on one of those putts or off on one of those drives, or let's say 2 of them, and let's just say he cards a 16 under par, he clearly was proving, even if that had happened, even if he doesn't bang the 50-plus footer to finish out the round, even if that doesn't happen, he clearly proved there was a focus and a determination that is still burning within inside him. As long as it comes out at the right times, which he's been capable of and has done in the past, as long as he proves that he can do that, you're exactly right. Now, to me, whether it was 18 or 19, and we could argue about the soft par 5, we could argue...
It is a soft par 5.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just saying, all those
Should
little tiny things... Great, or the people that are like, oh, had hole 3 not spit. It wasn't a spit.
No,
I don't think that should have stayed in. It easily could have.
It kissed off the thing, but it shouldn't have stuck.
I don't think that it should have stuck. Exactly. So, it's an amazing accomplishment shooting 18 under. It would have been just as impressive if it were 17. Let's say back up. No. Hole 2 is labeled a par 4. labeled the par 4. He takes the birdie there.
It would not be.
It takes away from the elusiveness. Is that why?
It completely does.
Okay.
It takes away from that cherry on top. In fact, like I said, being a par 5 on that particular hole, it's again soft par 5, and him getting the blemish on 10.
Okay.
It's not a perfect round.
No.
And nor, I mean, it's a phenomenal round. It's a great round. It's probably the best. It's the best round I've ever seen.
Okay.
And it could be right up there with, I mean, that's hand in hand with his 45 at Maple Hill.
Yeah, and that obviously is an argument
it's
that
way
will also
It's way better
continue.
than the Fountain Hills one.
In my opinion, absolutely.
But and I love people saying like, "Oh, that course needs more OB, this and that." I'm like, that wouldn't have affected Paul. He went from tee to basket.
Yeah, very efficiently.
It wasn't like he was scrambling a lot.
No, his scramble percentage was 100%, according to UDisc.
You add almost as much OB as you want on that course. He's not finding
it. In that case, correct. Yeah, in that case, he wasn't anyway. Dare I say, before we put it to bed,
let's not put it to bed anytime soon.
Hole 2, labeled instead a par 4. He birdies it.
Yep.
But then birdies 10.
A better round, in my opinion.
Okay.
A more...
Still 18 under, but in a sense, a better round. Okay.
I think more... Not necessarily better.
You just said a better round.
A more...
Impressive?
Impressive round.
Okay.
Getting every single hole...
For birdie
or better is slightly more impressive than missing one and getting an eagle.
Okay.
I just think there is an elusiveness to birdieing every hole at one of these huge events. I've seen you birdie every hole at our local Valley View, which is a pitch and putt.
Better recognize.
Shooting an 18 down. It can be done at some of these pitch and putt, but doing that at a Pro Tour event, I think that getting every hole is more impressive than getting... I mean, what if he had gotten another eagle and missed another hole? Is it less impressive than what...
My mind would melt.
I mean, you're still getting an 18 or whatever. It's just, I think getting every hole would make it even more impressive, if that's possible with what McBeth did. But it is quite a phenomenal feat what he accomplished.
It was very cool to see, and of course the fallout. I mean, the cool part about seeing Facebook erupt that afternoon into that evening was. It put a little ray of sunshine in my heart. It was awesome for disc golf. And then to see it, I'll say, re-erupt last night in a very similar sense, that there was this exposure, there was this ESPN blast that was put out there. It just not that the fire hadn't even been remotely tamed, and it was already rekindled or restoked. Restoked maybe is the best word. Last night, and it was awesome. We'll continue to ride it.
Yeah, it took me completely by surprise because a lot of times in the media you might hear a thing or two, a whisper that you're going to get on ESPN and this and that. I personally had no idea it was coming until I saw it on Facebook from somebody from, I think it was...
I don't know if anyone did.
No,
honestly, I'd like to know who did or did not.
I'm sure Jomez knew.
Oh, save that question. I don't know that for a fact. I mean...
Someone had to get the footage. They didn't download the footage from YouTube and put it on there. We know who works at ESPN in general, who tends to help us out.
Yeah, we know a couple people there, but I don't. We'll see.
We'll ask him.
Yeah, we will.
Because he's going to be on the show later.
That's a great idea. The only thing I hated was just, the spoilers. People.
I hadn't finished watching the final round, and...
Oh, it's spoilers. And for just so everyone knows, we of course did our due diligence. I had reached out to Paul McBeth actually via Hannah at one point. Paul had arrived, I think she said yesterday or today, technically. He went out, got a practice round in, and was when he did get back to me today, he said, actually it'll be about 4 or 5 a.m. when you guys are on your show. Therefore, I have to decline joining you. I'm like,
well, by the time the show's over, it'll probably be 8 a.m. It's time for him to wake up anyway.
He could maybe do the after show. So Paul, of course, over traveling for Kona Piste. We reached out to the other Paul. There's another one. Paul Oman.
Paul Oman?
No, actually, I reached out to Paul Ulibarri, and same thing. He said, I'm actually in France right now. And then I said, all right, well, we're 0 for 2 on Paul's. And then he said, well, Paul Oman? I'm like, we should have Paul Oman on the show.
It's been a while since I think we've had Paul Oman on.
I think it is. So next time, call Paul.
Next time we can't get Paul McBeth. Oman, you're our first call.
If we can't get Yuli. Either.
No.
So
we'll flip a coin on those two.
It was good seeing Tall Paul the last 2 weekends, actually, as he's been at both the Minnesota Majestic and in Michigan.
Disc Golf Nerd says, Yuli's slacking. He needs to come on again.
I know.
Funny stories. We talked to Yuli quite a bit last week after the show ended.
We did. He's like, are you guys still on? We're like, no. We just logged off.
But we called and we sat and chatted for, I think I chatted with a good hour and a half after the show. I'm just catching up on life in general, and he's doing really well and seems to be pretty, he's got a good head on his shoulders, that guy.
Yeah, he does. Well, so we'll of course hear from him soon. So we speak of a perfect round. I guess the only final question is, what's more perfect, that round or Robert McCall's hair? And what can we do to get him on right now?
I'm waiting for his little thing to go green and say online on Skype.
Oh, okay. Paul, or whatever your name is, Robert. I got Paul's on my mind. Okay. Robert, if you're ready to go, we would love to hear from you and get caught up for what's going on. A little later, we'll recap more of the Disc Golf Pro Tour's event this weekend, but congratulations, of course, Paul McBeth. 11 under, 18 under, 11 under. That makes it pretty easy for me to actually remember those things. And then on the women's side, Sarah Hokum taking down what I believe was her 7th win overall of the year in a very, very impressive bogey-free 6 under par second round. Between Paul and Hokum, 24 under during that second round. Saturday was definitely scoring.
Oh, he's got a different Skype than the last time I got him.
Oh, that McCall feller. So as soon as we see his image come through, we'll welcome him onto the show and get some updates. What's what we're seeing over in Emporia?
All right, show us some video there, Mr. McCall.
The good kind.
There we go.
All right. Without further ado, Robert McCall from Dynamic Discs. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Why, hello.
What's going on?
Man, I'm back in Emporia. We've just been out of the country for the last couple of weeks, and we got back at about 2:30 a.m. And then Junior World started. So here we are, man.
It never ends for you guys. It feels like this particular year, you guys went right from GBO to match play to Junior Worlds. I don't know.
Stuff.
It's been a busy year, yeah. But no, it's honestly been awesome. It's really cool to have that variety, just so we have something cool and exciting going on all the time.
You do. So we absolutely need the updates on the juniors, but quickly recap kind of what we missed out on. Give us your overseas experience and some of the play and some of the details you saw over those couple of weekends.
Yeah, so we went first to Finland. We flew into Helsinki and then over to Sipu, and that was where the Toonie was. And that was the largest event in Europe by a few hundred competitors, is my understanding. They had around 800 competitors this year, which was awesome.
Am I correct in saying it's pronounced the Toonie?
Okay, so they say, I learned this from the Finns. When you have the double letters, right, you have to extend it out a little bit. So every Finn over there, we say Toonie, but they say Toonie.
Toonie.
Right,
welcome to Toonie.
I thought I think last week I called it the Teenie. I thought I'd heard someone say that, and then Terry's like, no, I think it's the Toonie. And then I saw the wonderful video of everyone laughing at Bobby when he called it the Toonie, and everyone's like the Toonie. So we all know now.
Yeah, he kept calling it the Toonie Open, and like that, it wasn't. And so he said it to some people there, and they just chuckled. And I think he just thought they were like, oh, it's funny, the camera. And I told him afterwards, I think they were laughing because he said Toonie Open, and it's just not that. And that ended up being correct.
So it's one of those cases where they're laughing at you, not with you, and we just had to clarify.
They were 100% laughing at him. Yeah, that's right.
So you guys were over. Is it? Can I dare say? And I already did to someone else, so I apologize if I'm not right. Can I say they're the GBO of overseas? That's
what they're trying to do.
The goal. Okay.
That's their stated goal, is to be GBO in Europe. Yeah. And it's cool because yeah, a lot of the stuff mirrors the GBO. They've got tee-off songs and an awesome player pack. Just a lot of the events surrounding the event are very GBO-ish. And yeah, it was an awesome event. 4 courses available to the competitors. They each played 3 of them, and they were pretty cool. Golf over there is different than golf over here, and it was really awesome.
And so before you answer how is it different, the one thing they're clearly missing from the GBO experience is live coverage from SmashBoxx next year.
100%. Yeah, they were talking about flying you guys over for that, and I recommended that they do. So we'll see how it goes next year.
Okay,
next year we'll have hopefully we'll have a little bit upgraded equipment. We'll have passports or something, and we'll just show up.
Yeah, be like, hey, we're gonna film. So yeah, when you say golf is different, the level in which they take it, or the seriousness of which they take it, the courses, the style, elaborate on that.
Yes to all those things.
Okay.
The courses are mostly more technical than a lot of the ones we play over here. Not compared to like Charlotte or somewhere like that, but lots of OB, lots of artificial OB, even on wooded holes, and just honestly just beautiful settings. Really, really tall trees everywhere. The weather was unbelievable. I bet it didn't get over 70 the whole time we were there. And yeah, that was pretty nice compared to Emporia, where it was just 95 a few minutes ago. So that's cool.
A heat advisory all the way through Friday night thus far. Is that what I just looked at yesterday while packing?
Yeah, man. That's not my favorite thing about Emporia, but that's whatever.
Wait, you came from Texas.
I thought I was going to get cooler weather in the summer, and I was so wrong. Instead, I just got way colder winters.
Yeah, the summers are just as hot, but the winters are.
I got gypped. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to talk to Rusco about that.
Do it.
Anyway, we went from the over to they pronounce it Tampere. And it's a city there in Finland that they just UC and Disc Golf Park just put in like a championship level course that they basically made. There was not much there. They planted grass, shaped the fairways, beautiful, extremely difficult course, and they played a doubles exhibition there. You can find that on YouTube with Spin TV. Yeah, that place is really beautiful.
It looks awesome. So, I've been watching them post pictures of the building of it and all these different shots, and you never quite get a full feeling of a course either until you're there or unless you get a really good video production of it. And I haven't had a chance to watch all of the video. I've watched the first half. I didn't get a chance to watch the back 9 yet, but it looks great. And it was windy from what I watched. So
yes, windy, and every hole is long. Like they had 2 holes under 100 meters, and they were arguably like pretty difficult 2s. You'd think it's just a gimme 2, but they were both kind of tiered greens, and it was really difficult. And I'm going to spoil a little of the coverage, only a little. If you haven't heard of Leo Pirinen, that dude is the man.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of good players there, and they played well, and that was cool. But Leo threw some genius shots. Like I was so impressed by him. So anyway, that was awesome. We were at the Power Grip store there. That's a huge retailer over in Finland. And then we traveled from there to, oh man, I think the second one was Jyväskylä or something like that. Played a mountain course on a champ challenge with Ricky and Paige. So everybody uses the same 4 discs or the same 3 discs, and you bring your putter. We did one of those there, and then one of those in Kuopio, and then went on up to Oulu and was at the Power Grip store there, and then finally went over to Skellefteå. And once we were there for the Skellefteå Open, and that place, Disc Golf Terminalen, it's in my top 3, if not my top 1 courses that I've ever played.
Wow. Yeah, I know. Emac says it's his favorite place on earth. So
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, and I see why now. It's manicured and difficult and fair. I mean, the shots are just right there. Here, just throw it right here. Not even super long, to tell you the truth. But it was beautiful. I played a couple of practice rounds there, and I'm surprised it didn't make Sports Center. I shot a 6 under.
Wow.
Seriously, it didn't?
I know. It would have been, like, based on the tournament averages, it would have been like 10-20 something. So basically, I should have been on Sports Center.
Pretty much.
We'll give Jomez a call. I think they've got an in. We'll let them know.
Yeah, I'll have them follow me around for my practice rounds, at which I'm not playing the tournament next time. I think that'll be better for
I mean,
everybody.
if that's not ESPN Sports Center material, I don't know what is.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir at this point. When I saw that, I was like, come on. That course, from what I hear about
but I didn't get covered. Oh, okay.
Paul goes overseas and gets on ESPN when he wakes up and throws a disc out a window. You can't even get on for a 6 under. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong here, toboggan's pretty soft course, right? It's like perennially easy. Everyone shoots like 14, 15, right?
Yeah, and that's why they decided to make it easier by adding some longer tees, and they made it even easier. I heard it was kind of a reverse effect.
When a guy who's less than 1,000 rated shoots a 14 under, it's clearly an easy course. I mean, Willie Prince, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fresh Prince of Grand Rapids, I think, is actually what he's going.
All right, is that what he's going?
That's what
Willie is the man.
All right,
I like him a lot.
Willie's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, 18 under, man, come on, dude. That's just we got to catch the last. So that when that was happening, it was midnight our time.
Okay.
But we still I caught it when I saw he was 4 under through 3. That he's done that before. I saw it when he was like 8 under through 7. Okay, he's done that before. And then we saw him par 10. But I was like, oh, I mean, he's still 10 under through 10. Let's just watch it. And we got to watch the remaining 8 holes and just, just birdie all of them. Cool, man.
Yeah.
And not just birdie them. He hit some big putts, 50-footers. And was it 16 or was it 17? The one, I think it was 17. When he's on the side of the hill and it's like about a 35-foot putt uphill. Just
that may have been more a knee knocker than 18, because 18 is like a jumper. You really get to all the way extend to it. The one on the side of the hill is kind of that's a weird putt. It's more difficult than it looked, I bet.
I agree.
So super hats off to him. In my opinion, if it's not the best round in disc golf history, it's top 2. It's head and shoulders better than Fountain. It's probably on par right there with like Ricky's 55 in Texas and then his 45 at Maple Hill.
Yeah.
Which all those are just mind blowing. But 18 under is just bananas.
It really is. It's
truly incredible.
Oh, wow.
Well, good. We're glad you got to watch the action over there. Is there a vibe, and this isn't even, I'm not trying to plug Smashbox. Is there a vibe, though, of coverage in general? I mean, obviously, Bobby's always putting stuff out. We have lots of international smashies. Obviously, people are, soaking up as much Jomez and Central Coast as they can. What's the vibe like over there when it comes to consuming? Because I'll admit, we're all kind of spoiled. We see these players every single weekend, and most of them will never shake hands with a Ricky or a McBeth or a Paige Pierce.
Right.
For the most part.
I heard several people talk about watching. I mean, just saying the name Jomez Pro. They don't just say Jomez. They say Jomez Pro. They actually say Jomez Pro.
Of course they do.
Jeez. But they talked about that. They talked about Smashbox. They talked about. I mean, I heard them say these names, right? But the thing that I think that stuck out the most is when those guys do go over there. Paul, Simon, Ricky, those type of people. They remember every shot they threw on that course. Like we did one of the champ challenges, and we were coming up to a whole little tight tunnel through the woods, and one of the guys on my card said, Paul hit this tree last year and still got a 3. Like, I mean, it makes a huge impact over there. It's way bigger than anything I've seen here. And it's handled, like you said, the demeanor on the course and the respect that disc golf is given over there is entirely different. It's really, really cool.
Well, and internationally, they just carry an air of professionalism about the sport in general. I mean, UC and others and so many others have shown us that when they're training for it after school, and they have it as a professional sport that everyone takes very seriously, and the galleries out there are respectful, and just everything about it. Now, I haven't been to a lot of international events, but it seems like it's just a totally different world.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm so grateful I got to make the trip because I had always heard it was awesome and different over there, but until you're there, you don't understand. The galleries were huge. There was applause all the time instead of like, yeah, mashed potatoes. It was like you think disc golf should be, and it was incredible.
Awesome. Well, great to hear. Okay, so you're back. Obviously, there's probably a little bit of chaos and jet lag, and knowing that so many of your partners in crime, Bobby's and Rusco, and so on and so forth, you guys are just getting back into the scene. But then you come home, and there's Doug Bjerkes and probably an enormous staff, all busting their tails for this Junior World Championships. What was that? How did that vibe translate when you're coming from international, come back into Emporia, and now all these juniors are in town?
It's just, man, it's so fun here. We got to go to Am Worlds last year, Bobby and I did, and we mostly followed around our junior players. And so we got a little bit of the vibe of Junior Worlds last year, and that was one of my favorite things we did all year because the kids are just so talented and committed. And did I say talented? They're super good, by the way. That is one thing I noticed in Finland. Every teenager over there who's played for a little while has perfect form. Like you couldn't even try and critique it because they're throwing 450, 475 controlled and just clean as could be. And that's how a lot of these kids are when you watch them. Like we've got a kid on our team, Isaiah Esquivel. He's 13 and he's throwing right around 500 right now. And his form just looks like he's not trying. And that's how a lot of the kids are because it's what they've done for so long. It's like when I grew up playing soccer. And so by the time I was 12, 13, I knew what I was doing. But I played it for 8 years at that point. A lot of these guys have been playing that long already.
Different culture, different everything. And when I say culture, though, besides the obvious, I mean just how the sport is accepted and then how it's taught and promoted. Like the disc culture is just completely different as well. To not have the any negative connotations or stereotypes or whatever maybe ingrained or already already there, I think that's what's awesome and what's going to help it continue to grow over there.
I agree. No stigmas of any type that are held onto from the past. Negative or positive, call them what you want to, but they don't have that. It's just, this is a sport. I'm going out to compete, and it's pretty awesome. And so at the last tournament we went to at Skellefteå Open, they went to a 4-way playoff, right? 4-way women's playoff,
yes,
which was super duper cool. Most of the women I don't think were really they were like, all right, somebody's going to shoot well and win, and they all ended up together. And third hole, only Katrina and Evelina Salonen are left. And Evelina threw one of the nastiest forehands I've ever seen. Like Woods line that comes in from the right side, kind of toward the basket and then opens up. And she threw a flex forehand that it didn't start flex. Like she threw it flat and let it turn along that Woods line. And if you gave me a stack of probably 20 discs, I don't think I do that once. Like maybe get to circle 2 a couple times, but she's young. She's probably 16, 17, 18, and just has ice water in her veins. So that was one of my favorite things to watch, is just execution in a pressure moment. So that was pretty cool.
Well, I was thinking back as I was editing maybe the women's footage in the morning, the shot by shot to get it ready. And then I think there was a conversation going on around me about, oh, there's a playoff going on over there, so on and so forth. And I heard it was, had 4 women and this and that. And I thought back to, was it 2 years ago when Katrina was unstoppable and she had won basically every event she played in. And then all of a sudden she goes overseas and loses to the U.S., then no-name Evelina, who was, I think, 15 at the time. So whether she's 16 or 17 now, that all is in that timeline. Just incredible. So, for you to explain how it went down isn't really shocking to those of us that kind of pay attention and know. It's that's pretty awesome. And
Right.
what was it was Kristen Tatar, Evelina, Kat, and Paige, correct?
Right.
What was how did they all get there? I mean, they all show out the same score. I know that much, but
Sure.
what did it take for them to get to that moment? And was it somebody falling off? I'll admit I didn't pay attention to all of the scores, and then I just heard of the playoffs. So how did it kind of get to that point?
Right. So through the first two, Katrina and Evelina and Kristen were all kind of right there together. Katrina took a lead after the first round. I think she shot 1 over the first round, and the other ladies were 2 or 3 over. I think Paige's first round was 6 over. And then second round, Katrina struggled a little bit more. I think she shot a 6, and the other girls shot like a 2 and a 3. So they were right. They were all within those 3 girls were all within 2 strokes of each other, 2 or 3, something like that. And then Paige struggled, to her standards, the first 2 rounds. She shot a 6 and a 5, so she was back 4 strokes to start the round, and she played more to her potential the last round, and just missed. I think she only missed 2 putts all round, but they were down the stretch where like it really counts. She made some big ones for sure, but she kind of came from behind to catch those girls. And so yeah, they all 3 were on the top card. Paige was on the chase card. Once she putted her last putt on 18, circle's edge maybe 35, and she didn't convert. She thought it was over, and so she was sitting in the clubhouse eating ice cream. And
as one does,
because the ice cream over there is fantastic.
Of course.
But yeah, then they found out it was a 4-way playoff, and then they go over to hole 1, which, by the way, is a par 6.
Oh,
Let's try that again. A par 6.
par 6.
It's a par 6.
I don't think I've ever played a par 6.
I don't think
It's
you
a
have either.
true.
Have you ever played a par 6?
Par 6.
They consider Highbridge Gold hole number 12 or whatever it is, I think, a par 6, which is a whole nother argument. But yes, so that would be the one time I'd say I've played it. But anyway,
it is a true par 6, like
14,000 feet.
It's 14,000
or meters. Sorry, they use meters there. It was 14,000 meters.
Yeah. No, it plays like, for the right-hander, huge turnover that has to hold the whole way to get to a spot in the fairway. Then from there, you can decide if you want to get to one of 2 gaps after that, or just play short of those gaps, pitch around those gaps, then 90 degrees right up to the basket, get a look at a 5. That's where, if you've heard about the albatross rivers that are out there, that's that hole. He got a 3 on that par 6.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, so the first time I heard it, I was like, come on, par 6, like really? And the first time I played it, I got an 8. So that's not good. I got a 5 the next time. It's fine. And there were 3 eagles on the weekend, three 4s, and lots of double-digit scores.
Wow.
It's just long and but it's fair. You be in the fairway, be in the fairway again, be in the fairway again, throw about a 250-foot straight shot through, like a 25, 30-foot gap, putt 5.
Does that hole?
It's right there.
Would that hole scare off Joe Casual or Jane Casual? Like,
there were plenty of casuals.
I'm just saying, you'd go out there and be like, all right, son, daughter, mother, sister, brother. Oh yeah, here's hole 1. Where is it? Oh,
good luck.
That's when you play the front 3. You bring your family for the front 9. No, we're just gonna play the front 3. That's long enough, and we're gonna go home.
That's incredible.
Yeah, there's a loop of like 4 holes that I think would be a casual player's that'd be about a full round for them. It was sweet though. I mean, it was really, really cool.
Okay, I apologize. I got us back off track of
Anyway,
Junior Worlds. Back to Junior Worlds. I apologize. That was my fault. So yeah, Junior Worlds. I know you weren't there for some of it, but what has taken place over these last couple of days, and then what happened today?
Yeah, so we had divisional doubles go on. I think that was on Sunday, and then today or Monday we had, I think, mostly just practice rounds, maybe some more double stuff. I don't remember. Today we had field events, and they're getting those tallied up and stuff like that. And then we had the players meeting tonight, opening ceremony players meeting, and that was pretty sweet at the Granada. And yeah, that's what's going on now. And then tomorrow we start shotgun tee times for all of the fields. I'm pretty sure do shotgun. And then we'll be playing some combination of Jones East, Jones West, Peter Pan, Country Club for some of the older divisions, shorter tees, but still Country Club. And then Hammond and the Technical College for some of the younger divisions.
Okay. So ultimately, how many competitors are there when it was all said and done? 198.
Which is the biggest junior field for an AM Worlds so far. I think the next biggest one was 111 a couple of years back.
Awesome. Okay. And for those who aren't aware, for the last, I don't know 20 or so years at least, and maybe ever since day one when AM Worlds became a thing, the AM Worlds have been hosted in conjunction, and then they designated technically that Junior Worlds was taking place at the exact same time. So they call it the AM and Junior Worlds.
It was a separate event technically.
Yeah, but they were combined to make on the same week. In 2007, for instance, we ran it here in Milwaukee. It was the PDGA Amateur and Junior World Championships. And this is the first time ever that they've now officially split it out. And the wonderful folks over at Dynamic Disc had put in a bid and were awarded this event as the Junior World Championships for the next 3 consecutive years. So for those who are unaware of a little bit of the history. So now, just to recap that, we've got a Junior Worlds, then we have the separate Amateur Worlds, which this year takes place in the Charlotte area. We have a Pro Worlds at Smuggler's Notch in September, of course.
Masters Worlds we have.
Pro Masters Worlds, which has also been broken apart.
Lake or something?
No, that's in Kansas City this year.
Yep.
Pro Masters Worlds.
Yeah.
Yep. So the Pro Masters Worlds taking place as well. So for a few years, all of these worlds took place during the same week, I think of 2000, 2004, 2008, so on. And now this year, there are 4 separate sets of world championships, all with the same divisions, just broken up because they've really grown to be needing that much attention.
It was too difficult to ask a host city to bring in that many people efficiently and without restricting fields.
Yeah, or jeopardizing the competition and having the correct courses and so on and so forth. So that's where we're at now, that the Junior World Championships here in Emporia for 3 years. 198 people. Any idea how many states and countries? I'm sure that was listed. Were you listening?
I'm pretty sure it's 40 states and 5 countries.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Youngest being?
I think our youngest division is 6 and under.
Okay.
So
oldest being 19?
There's some very small people here.
Okay.
Throwing pretty well.
Yeah, that I don't doubt. Wow. So you 40? I'm sorry. You said 40 states. You think it was?
Yeah, I think it's 40 and 5 countries. It was like Australia, Sweden, Finland, U.S., and Canada, I think is right.
Wow. Very cool. Awesome. So what are some of the activities? I know you guys put on such an effort when the glass blows in town, or in the years past we've seen amateur or pro worlds taking place. What are some of the activities that you know of that are scheduled over the next few days outside of the golf? Just party at Radius every night? Is that what we're doing? They're doing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're doing?
Mm-hmm. They made a nice draft beer for all the children.
A draft root beer?
It's going to be, draft root beer. We actually talked about that. I don't know if it ended up happening or not. But so there's a few things that Doug talked about at the meeting tonight. There is hey, bud. We've got a free arcade that they'll go for a couple of hours. And that's been cool in years past because kids get in there and play video games against world champs and touring pros and stuff. So that's always cool. They have what's called a showdio. It's a show rodeo. I didn't know that was a word till today. And it probably isn't for real, but that's what he said. So I'm going to roll with it. Free entrance to a rodeo. And then they also get free entrance into like some calf wrestle something if they want to. I'd probably avoid it if it was me and I was competing at the worlds.
You're really selling it well.
Well, listen, I was there when Ricky rode the bull before GBO. So I don't put anything past our competitors.
We have since told him, don't do that. Just don't. Anyway,
don't put telling of the boy not to have fun.
Don't put shackles on the man. Come
on. Nobody puts baby in a corner either.
Go enjoy watching people do that. Anyway, so they're gonna do that. There's free skating at the roller skate rink, so it's about to get real in there.
I know where I'll be.
Yes, definitely where I will be. And then our aquatic center is it's pretty sweet, and they're doing free swimming after the tournament on Saturday, and then free visits at the zoo. It's usually closed on Thursdays, but they open it for our competitors. And the zoo's actually pretty sweet. So lots of extra stuff going on, and then just the regular old retail store, block party, Ring of Fire, the standard GBO Emporia type things.
Awesome. And by standard, you mean awesome things.
Yeah.
The awesome thing. I'm sorry.
The awesome
Substitute standard for awesome.
And what day is that? Is that as things wrap up on Saturday?
Ring of Fire, I'm pretty sure is Friday, and that's when the block party is as well.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So should be great.
What are you? And this is maybe a tough or loaded question, but what are you most looking forward to over the next couple days there?
Honestly, just watching kids do what they love to do, because I thought it would be fine when I went to Junior Worlds or Am Worlds last year. I thought I'd be like, all right, cool. They're throwing around whatever. And they are just super dedicated to it and good competitors. They're not just like lackadaisical, and they strategize. And I just love getting to watch them play. They're so talented, like just super duper good. So yeah, just getting to watch some of those, and then get to watch our sponsored team players as well. We've got quite a few sponsored guys here from DD and Latitude for sure. And we had a dinner with a bunch of those guys tonight, and it was good to meet some of them for the first time, see their families and all that. So
now I'm this goes without saying, I'm far more cynical and impatient than you.
Okay.
Do you ever see or think when some of these kids are going through their routines like, all right, you little prima donna, let's move things along here? You're seeing some of the mannerisms that maybe they copy, the extra blowing on the fingers the exact same way, a Ricky or a Paul or a foot wiggle. Do you ever roll your eyes maybe at any of that?
I would say my reaction to those sort of things aren't limited by age. That I can get annoyed at anybody doing those.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Thank you.
It
is funny to see, like you said, those mannerisms that it's obvious that they picked up from a pro. But if it works for him, it works for him. And if it doesn't, then we'll be like, don't do that next time. Just take your 30 seconds and go.
Everybody learns by copying somebody, and then you form your own habits. You might have the Paul finger blowing on it or the little leg waggle, but at some point it's you're either going to lose it or it's going to become part of your routine and it's going to work for you. So I've got no problem with it as long as they do it in a reasonable amount of time.
Right. That's the problem, man, is when they start taking too much time. Come on, dude. One of the first competitive disc golf experiences I remember is this guy who was like, it was at a mini, like unsanctioned, just a mini. And he had, a full-on bag. I was just carrying just like a messenger bag that had a few discs. And he got his, so I was that guy. And he got his disc, and he was like lining up a shot. And then he took the disc and started feeling around for the perfect spot, just like little centimeter by centimeter around the rim. And I promise you he did that for 20 seconds. It was definitely over 30 seconds before I knew there was a time limit. And then shank after shank after shank. Come on, dude. If you're going to throw bad, just do it fast.
I've got that beat in Minnesota. One of the first events I played in Minnesota, I played with a gentleman. I forget. He had a crazy nickname. He took his disc. He walked up to the tee pad, and he took the disc, and he tapped each corner of the tee pad. Then he walked almost in like a circle, like a figure 8, before he threw. It was, I want to say they called him...
Crazy?
No. I believe he had some sort of OCD. And
I think clearly. Yeah.
Truly, because he did it on every single shot, and you just kind of sat there and you're like, oh God, this. Okay. Like, all right, cool.
Yeah, that's beyond routine. That's like true compulsion.
I think it was a true compulsion. And being one of my first events, I think this was in '97, it drove me crazy for a while. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, you don't, and it seemed like it got worse as the round went on. And you're like, oh, and it's still one of the funnier things I recall, but I completely understand.
So as I'm going to see you tomorrow night, and I know Doug and I have had conversations, Bobby and I have had a few quick conversations. What do you know of a social media production, all that kind of stuff? Do you know of kind of what's your role and how things are going to unfold over the next few days? I'm sure Danny is out there doing stuff, Anthony, so on. You know, I'm going to be there doing some stuff. Do you kind of know what the game plan is, or is that a Bobby question?
That's more of a Bobby question. I will be doing some stuff as well as you.
Okay.
But a lot of mine will honestly be more player focused and less social media.
Okay.
When Bobby grabs me to do a quick video or follow some kids or something like that, we'll do that. But most of my time will be player focused.
Okay. And Johnny and I were talking about how Paige made a post about how she's, been overseas and she's returned. And Johnny thought that was awkward or not awkward, unusual.
It was unusual seeing how she was already in Europe and there was a major going on, her being a professional, that she chose or is choosing to go do junior worlds with DD as opposed to some would think is, almost your professional obligation to play a major. If it was an NT or an A tier, I wouldn't think twice about it. But it's a PDGA major, and I just found that as an interesting decision.
Right, and it's I would take not credit for it, but blame if we had said, "Hey, you got to be here," and I don't care what's going on that week. Before the schedule was put out for the year, Paige told me one of the things she won't miss any year, and she went to AM and Junior Worlds last year, was Junior Worlds, and so. Before we knew when that was going to be, when we found out when this was going to be, she committed to it, and she's here.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I think it'd be awesome for her to play Kona Peach Day, but she'll have more tournaments that she can go and compete in. And missing one major, I think, in her opinion, is a fair exchange for getting to rest and just do something that she enjoys doing a lot. Like, because her schedule lately has just been thing after thing after thing after thing. And even like our trip up from Toonie to Skellefteå, usually that would include, a rest day or a for fun day. And it was work every single day, truly. And a lot more for them than it was for us because they were playing and competing the whole time. So we are thrilled for sure to have her. And if she had decided to go, we'd been like, great, go compete. That'll be cool. But we're thrilled to have her and a lot of other touring professionals here. Eric Oakley and Tina Stenitis are here. Chris Clemens is here. Ron Convers will be here. James Proctor from Latitude 64 will be here. So we've got a lot of touring guys that we're excited to have.
Yeah, and I told Johnny, I said, Dynamic Disc is such a supportive company that whatever, when they're going to take a look, when it's all said and done, they're going to take a look at this major. They're going to see what the payout is, and they're likely going to match or double that and just say, here you go, Paige. We appreciate, your dedication to the team.
Coming right out of Robert's paycheck.
Yeah, we're just going to give you this.
As the team manager.
So I assume that's the plan, and we'll...
You overestimate the size of my paycheck, Johnny, but I appreciate that.
Paychecks.
No, honestly, yeah, that was a decision all her own. I'm sure she will sell a lot of discs while she's here, and it won't be a financial loss, if I had to guess.
Yeah. No, right. and I
pay her, DD. Pay her what?
I think they do.
Yeah.
I have heard her say that in the past, that she absolutely loves AM and Junior Worlds. That it's one of her favorite things to do. So it doesn't surprise me at all. She's a sweetheart.
Yes. Well, I think back to the last 3 or 4 or 5 AM worlds that I've been a part of. Every one of them, I see her there running around, interacting with all the kids,
caddying for the kids,
doing all sorts of things. So yeah, of course, no surprise, and I'm super excited to see all of your teammates out there as well doing. Are they doing anything specific? Are there specific plans? I know you talked about like game night and such. What is? Is there an organized activity or multiple activities that they're working intertwined with?
You mean the touring players?
Yeah, the touring players along with them.
Mm-hmm. So they'll be out on the courses during the day, just hanging out with players. And then each of our touring players have a junior player on our team that they mentor. as part of their sponsorship, and so I'm sure they'll be spending a lot of time with those juniors that they're mentoring. But then also in the retail store, we'll have in-store signing sessions for them, and then we've created signature cards for them for kids to come in, and they'll have them sign their disc, but they can collect all of those cards for all those guys, and we've got one for Answer Man and for Jeremy Rusco and McCabe and all those people. So yeah, I mean, it's not a super strenuous week as far as their schedule goes, but they will be available and around a lot.
I truly hope one of those kids calls Eric McCabe Grandpa. Thanks, Grandpa. That's my hope.
Ouch.
Which is funny because I'm the exact same age as he is, but he's got that nice, I'm truly hoping I hear that.
Because you just said that, I'll pay somebody to do that.
Okay, thank you. Don't tell Eric though. Just make sure to hey kid, here's a disc. Go call him Grandpa. Ask him to sign the disc,
Grandpa
Grandpa.
McCabe, will you sign this?
Dude, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you need to share before we let you go? We're going to catch up with Jonathan here in a moment, but anything you want to share with us?
No, I think I'm good to go. I see a few comments out on the board about our decor here, so
yes, your wonderful wife. Go ahead. Give us.
Yeah, if you like it or don't, well, if you don't, you can shut up. But if you like it, thanks, man.
I think that
Ouch.
I think it was Thunder
Keeping
Schultz
it
that
real.
had mentioned it, and he's like what, like 17 or 19 or something. He doesn't.
He's just
he
jelly.
doesn't understand. He'll understand someday. He'll fall in love, and then he'll realize that she gets to decorate.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
You can't have discs up on every wall, Thunder. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's right. Those are in my office.
That's right.
This is the domain of my wife. She controls this area.
Oh, is that your head? Or you were okay. You were saying
no.
Just
This is
everything.
all that stuff.
your brain
that's her.
space. All right, buddy.
No,
well,
I'm just kidding around. Hey, yeah, you guys enjoyed talking with Jomez. Those are some good guys. I
Great
like
guys.
those.
They are.
They are for sure. So we'll catch up with them. And tomorrow night, I may or may not have I think I'm going to be on a standby flight to try and get in there a little bit earlier. I'll fly into Kansas City, hustle my way down to Emporia, and looking forward to taking in all the action and hanging out with you guys and watching our juniors go out and kick some butt out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Should be really cool. And to Adam on the board who's saying this frame is crooked, you're wrong because I leveled him personally. Have a good evening, guys.
Oh, the Savage McCall calling it out tonight. Wow. I think he's got one of those level apps. Wow.
It does look a little crooked, but if you look at it,
It could be his computer.
it could be. It's probably the computer, honestly.
Yeah.
But it does appear from our standard to be
You
crooked. But
operate on a
I
crack
believe
book.
I believe Robert that it's not.
I definitely believe Robert. All right, in a few moments, I think we'll have Jonathan Jomez join us. And really, it was such an exciting time. And obviously, as we opened the show, we were talking all about
Two, just like Robert, I have two Jomez, Jonathan Jomez Skype. So I'll see which one pops up. I'm guessing it's this one.
Just so much exciting stuff taking place this weekend. They of course have been out there hustling around week in and week out, getting a ton of coverage, obviously on the Pro Tour, on the National Tour, at some of our majors. I'll admit I'm a little surprised we're not seeing them over in Conapiste this weekend, as I know they've been there in years past as kind of the contracted solution that we've seen with the World Tour,
and Spin and World
Spin
Tour.
and such. So maybe we'll even ask about that as well. It would be great to catch up with them and see what's going on.
Here's my question for you. And
Okay,
maybe it's something
I'm ready for me. Bring
something
it.
we can talk about maybe after Jonathan or before. Paige started out the season on fire.
Yeah, now she's washed up. I think she got married. Okay, maybe not. Go on.
If she doesn't play the majors, can you consider this the greatest season?
It depends on how many she misses, and does she win Worlds, and does she win U.S. Women's? Like, one major internationally that she misses, sure. I think
granted,
you can still.
She has lost the last couple events to some really good competition.
Mm-hmm.
But there were talks a couple weeks ago of her having the greatest single season in FBO player history. And I kind of feel like if you don't hit the majors, it's tough to make that decision. And clearly that's not in her particular mindset, nor should it be. She should be out here doing what she feels is necessary for herself and her sponsor and her mental well-being. It's just crossed my mind thinking like, can you call it the greatest season if you don't win pretty much all the majors?
I mean, so as of right now, you're saying she's off to a great start, but she's just parred hole 10. What's going to happen from here?
That's a very good analogy.
Thanks. I'm good at those. No, maybe not. I make stuff up.
At this point, she's parred.
She can. I mean, there's two.
Now,
I mean,
if she comes out of AM in Junior Worlds, if she wins that, I think she'll be set. After AM Junior Worlds, if she goes on a tear and wins the rest of the majors, I think there's an argument, but it's hard to make that, especially if someone like Katrina wins, who comes back to the U.S. and competes against her. If someone overseas wins, if an Evelina, I don't know. It's just it's a thought game that kind of crossed my mind earlier.
Well, Cool One says you can't be a Triple Crown horse without running the major races. Hashtag JVD support. So he certainly is in line with what you're saying. Yeah, it's funny that what you're bringing up is, are we concerned about labeling this season
this particular
as the greatest season in FPO? To me, I don't want to just say it's early because, of course, you can talk about it at any time. But
we're halfway through the season.
And that's where I'm like, yeah, I think there's a lot of other events that need to play out besides just being concerned about the majors. Like you said, though, I mean, if she goes on a tear and let's just say wins the next 10 out of 10 events, but there's only one major, so to speak, sprinkled in there, versus, if she wins 6 out of the next 10 events, I don't care if she wins all the majors or not. It won't probably be the greatest ever FPO season. I don't know. And
I don't even know what the greatest FPO season is.
That too. I think that becomes the very next question. So we'll see. All right. I think did you pick one? Are we going to just do rock, paper, scissors, or just randomly grab one of the two? There we go. I think in a moment we're going to have Jonathan Jomez join us from Jomez Productions.
Let's see if he can figure out the camera.
I don't know. There he goes. Yes, there we go.
Fantastic.
Looks like we've got him. We can welcome him to the show. I was going to say, are you all the brains or all the brawn? What are you?
Did you have to bring Jerry in to turn on the camera? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Team effort.
I don't really know how to work a camera.
Jonathan, welcome.
Welcome to the show, buddy. It's been a while since you've been on.
It.
Yeah, how are things going? Where are you?
I'm in a park under a pavilion right now.
Okay. We're all
we were fishing here this evening, so we're still in Milford. We just been kind of taking a couple days to relax after a pretty eventful weekend.
Eventful and tiring. I mean, that's not a fun course to run back and forth and up and down on and go through a few times. That'll wear a man out.
Yeah, I'm pretty
I've
sure.
heard.
I think somebody asked me, so I looked it up on my little phone step counter that's always running, I guess, and it was like 5 miles a day or something. So
yeah, well, and it's
not
funny,
crazy, but the elevation's what gets you.
Exactly.
I was just gonna say, it's funny to think we just came from arguably the flattest event on tour, being in Utah, and then coming to probably the hilliest event on tour, being out here at Hudson Mills. Is it fair to say we're all glad that the weather broke a little bit on Thursday night and that disgusting humidity kind of passed along and it was tolerable? Is that a fair way to put it?
For sure. Yeah, we went out there on Thursday. We drove in and we got there in time to fly the drone, and we were going to play the course. We play it pretty much every course that we film at. We're fortunate to have enough time to play all the courses, but this one, I'm not going to lie, we made it through about 3 holes on Thursday because it was so bad. And I was like, all right. I just thankfully I found a guy that was doing some course prep with a gator, and he drove me around the course, and so I could do the drone stuff because I was like, I didn't even think that I could make it on that day through that. I don't know how people did it the week leading up to the tournament because it was really bad.
Yeah, we were watching it, and I had come over late Wednesday, and we were out there a little bit on Thursday, and that was exactly what we said, is like, just the humidity was so disgusting, along with some pretty serious temps. And then there was a rainstorm on Thursday night, and sure enough, Friday morning, it was still warm, but it was 100 times nicer outside.
Sean on our web board, Sean Grew says he spotted on Friday, and he did 20,000 steps, and it was 10 miles of running around to find discs as a spotter.
Oh,
wow.
They just need to throw better shots.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you can blame the pros for that.
The staff they had was incredible. They did such a great job with spotters and all the water out there and the course prep. Who knows how much mowing they had to do. So it was definitely, they had it looking as good as possible for us. So it was really cool to finally see toboggan for my first time, and just to have it under those conditions. That was really cool to see that they had done such a good job of getting it ready.
Well, adding this event to the Pro Tour, and we've kind of found a groove over the last couple years of adding very methodically, having these events, experienced events, and then slowly adding additional ones. We were very blessed to have what we had in San Francisco this year. Now we come here and we have this great event here. What was it like coming onto this property? I mean, knowing it was an AM event, knowing that it's a temp course. How does that change your mentality or your mindset at all?
Oh, absolutely not. And that also speaks to, like I was just saying, with the course prep and all the work that had been done. You could not tell that this was a temp course. I had known I had my knowing where I was going and what kind of events were held there, and knowing that it was a temp course. But if I would have showed up, as I'm sure many spectators did this weekend, and didn't really know any different, not a single one of them could have told that was a temp course. All the baskets were in the ground, which is a huge deal. Like, to not have a bunch of baskets, like a bunch of temp baskets sitting around. Mm-hmm. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying, like, you could not tell that was a temp course. They had it so they were definitely prepared, and it was cool. It was really cool to finally get to see that place. And I wish the weather would have been a little better, so I could have shot my 20 over or something on that course. But
it would have been nice to have a good comparison to Paul's.
Yeah, now we'll never know. You could have shot an 18 under.
Yeah. I mean, you could have rubbed it in Paul's face.
I guess I'm thinking about it the wrong way. Yeah, definitely. They didn't even give me a chance.
Exactly.
To give it my chance.
So you again, hats off to Discraft and their tremendous staff, all of the players, and John, the TD, and just the countless spotters and volunteers and helpers out there. To further that point, this course is put in the ground. There are sleeves in the ground. They put the brand new Chainstar Pro baskets in there. They were out there tamping down and leveling out tee pads to make all these brand new tee pads flush and look really nice and very playable. They put in so much work and energy and effort into it that the temp thought is hardly even there. Now, I wanted to talk about, there's a lot of people that say, well, it'd be great. Why isn't this in here year-round? Because there's 36 holes on the other side of that same park, 2 sets of 18. Did you have any conversations with people about the temporary component to it?
No, I really didn't. Like I said, I don't understand. I don't really know what the limitations there for not having it, other than obviously when the winter comes and it's a toboggan course or whatever. I guess that's what it's called, right?
Yeah,
it's like actually what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you Southerner! Have you ever gone sledding?
Come on now.
I've been tubing, like snow tubing, like once in my life.
Okay.
We tube on the water.
Which we do up here as well.
Nice and
we do that up here in the summer. We just get to tube on the snow in the winter.
Yeah,
Best of both worlds.
I don't do snow. We get snow like twice a year in West Texas. So it's more like we don't even drive on the days that it snows. School's closed. Sometimes you get lucky and your work will tell you not to come in, and
Different life.
That's what we think about snow.
Well,
okay.
From what I've gathered is in terms of the course, one of the hesitations, although people have been clamoring about this amazing facility for all these years, they're worried that they put it in and not enough people would come play it just because it's so incredibly tough. And people get scared off by it. You've got a lot of great courses in that area, but you put in this really long, challenging course, and your mere mortals, your normals, may not come out and actually participate on it. And that's, I think, one of the main reasons why we don't see it. Now, a moment ago, you spoke of the gallery, the spectators. that's been a pretty common question. How do you feel like this gallery and the support from Michigan, how do you feel like this stacks up against some of the other places we've all been?
Oh, it was incredible. The gallery every day, just as the rounds progressed, rounds 1, 2, and 3, like the gallery just got bigger and bigger. It was so awesome to see. They were very involved. They were very well behaved, which sounds funny, but sometimes you get some galleries that can get a little rowdy, not on purpose, but they just get a little too excited and kind of impede the players and the media and stuff. So these, I think that the course volunteers and stuff and the crowd control did a good job, but I think the crowd was already a couple steps ahead as far as being respectful of the players and the media and letting everyone through. And the course, the way it's set up for the most part, I hope you can hear me. There's a train driving by.
Yeah, you're all right. You're good.
Okay. So the way that the course was set up, it's very spectator friendly. A lot of the holes were very open, and they had places for the spectators. They had kind of mowed out some spots for the spectators to walk to the next hole or to watch.
We hear that, but we can still hear you.
To watch. So yeah, it was really cool to see that many people, to see how we've never been to this area. I've never been to Michigan until Thursday when we got here, but we heard so many good things about the disc golf scene here and how long it's been around and how supportive everyone is. And sure enough, they did not disappoint. We had so many people coming up to us and thanking us, for what we do, and it's always so cool to meet people and to have, that kind of support, but also just seeing how many people came out to watch disc golf, and every day was more than the last, and it was awesome. And the way the course was set up was perfect. I thought it was perfect. There wasn't too many holes where it was too tight where people couldn't see, so that I hope that the experience was great for them as well.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and say we're relatively spoiled in that you could almost, and some people get offended by this, they shouldn't, you could almost swap out Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan disc golf. They're almost fully interchangeable. We all have more than 300 courses. We all have 60 to 80 to 100 PDGA tournaments. We all have a deep-rooted history of playing not only in the nasty, humid summer months, but also in the coldest of cold.
Frigid winter months.
So what you experienced in Michigan is no surprise to me, because here in Wisconsin, and I feel like in Minnesota and a little bit of Iowa and Illinois, Ohio, I'm very proud of the entire Midwestern scene that we have in that sense, because I think what you experience there is kind of a Midwestern thing. Not that you can't get it in other places, but I feel like you have a very similar experience in a lot of those states. And I take a lot of pride in that.
That's awesome. We're very fortunate to finally have experienced it, because we don't get to hang out in this area a whole lot. So it was definitely a great experience for us, and I know that I can tell that they all had a great experience. Some people we talked to, that this was the first time coming out to a big tournament, to a major disc golf event. So it's so cool to see that that's still happening, and with a place like you said, that the history has been here for so long and you've got so much going, to think that there's still people coming out that have friends of friends, or they see it on YouTube or wherever, and they still want to come out and experience it the first time. And that's what's so exciting to see, that despite it being so saturated and disc golf being so present here, that there's still people that are just now getting into it.
Yeah, the enthusiasm, the excitement, the continued growth. I only see good things to come from here. I remember thinking years ago when I was doing all sorts of things disc golf related as my full-time career, I couldn't move to a lot of other states and do what I was doing, because I was designing courses and running tournaments. And only in the Midwest did I think that was really possible. And now me, like you, we're doing disc golf media literally in every state or any state, so it doesn't matter as much. But it's a great scene.
I don't care about any of that. I want to hear about ESPN. The first post I saw was AJ asking, where were you when you saw this? And I was like, when we saw what? And I looked at it, and I saw the picture of you guys, and I followed up a little bit. Tell us a little bit about that experience. Did you know? We had this discussion earlier. Did you know it was going to happen? Did you have your contacts at ESPN? Get them the footage? Tell us a little bit about the process.
Yeah, we did not know. We weren't aware. Sometimes I try to send stuff off to them through a couple of different avenues, and they'll respond and say, okay, yeah, like it's looking good, or it's a busy night or whatever. But in this case, we didn't expect anything. We had just gotten done. We had just uploaded round 3. The hype had it was still like fresh, from round 2, but it had kind of died down a little bit, and we had just made sure we got our round 3 up, and then we got, everything, all our work done. So we went ahead and came back out to Kensington Metro Park, and we were out there hanging out with AJ and Madison, and we were out there fishing and swimming, just hanging out, having a good time, thinking nothing of it. And we'd stayed out there till dark, and we went to that McDonald's that you saw that AJ had posted a video of or a picture of. And the reason we're all sitting out there in the parking lot is because we were in the RV, and the dining room had just closed like 5 minutes before we got there. And so AJ had to go through the drive-thru for us in his car and get our orders through. And then we were sitting there waiting for AJ to pull up. And as he pulls up back to where we were sitting is whenever somebody had messaged me and said, hey, congrats. Paul's 18 down and had gotten on Sports Center. And all I could think was like, I don't know anything about that. What did they do? We didn't make a cut for just his solo round. Like, well, how would they have, I had assumed that maybe it was something that I know you guys had posted something as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I was just like, okay, that's something else I'm not even aware of. And then immediately after, someone tags me in a video on Facebook, and I see, and it's a video of it kind of off to the side, not a full video. And then immediately after that, somebody else. And so we finally like, okay, what's going on? So we click on the link and we're watching it. And like, as AJ's taking that pictures basically as it's happening, and I'm just like in awe. Like, I'm not even sure what to think as I'm watching this. Like, they had just, the fact that they had taken Paul McBeth's round and made it a featured spot on ESPN was just like, I couldn't even believe it. I think a lot of us were in shock because we're not used to getting anything more than
a highlight, a top 10 shot.
Exactly, a top 10 shot. We get 6 seconds, and he kind of says something goofy / derogatory / whatever, and that's it. And then we're pumped about it though, because we're like, that's exposure, and and it is, obviously the masses are still going to take their jabs and things, but we take it for what it is and we get pumped about it. But the fact that I was watching this, that somebody had done, and like somebody had taken the time to cut up that round and write a script and give it to them, and they ran it for like 1 minute and 47 seconds or almost 2 minutes or whatever it ran. I don't even remember. But to think like, that was so big for disc golf. That was huge.
Hands down. Phenomenal. I was
don't even know how to explain how big that was. We all know, though.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to express it, but we all kind of feel it. It amazes me that they somehow pulled your footage off of YouTube, is the assumption, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they would have had to.
Yeah, because
I did. Yeah,
that or you would have thought that it would have made sense, like that you guys have the raw footage. Like, hey, we're looking at getting this on. Send me the raw footage, and that's why I was under the assumption. I just assumed that I'm like, oh, I'm sure Jonathan and those guys, I'm sure they knew about that there was a potential to be on there, but the fact that they kind of did it it's amazing in the first place. So it's I think you have a right to sue them now at this point.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, yeah, wait till your stuff on YouTube gets flagged for some sort of copyright because ESPN played it.
Yeah, people kept commenting last night or sending messages and things, or mentioning like, "Oh, you need to ask them for money for all this and blah blah." And I'm like,
yeah, right.
I'm thinking of it from the other side. What is 2 minutes worth on Sports Center? Mm-hmm. If spike ball or disc golf or any other niche sport was to say, hey guys, we want to buy a 2-minute block with commentary and everything from you guys, what does that cost? And who knows what that costs? $5, $10, $20, $40,000. We don't even know. So when people are like, you need to ask for money, blah blah, and I go, we just got handed a tremendous gift.
Yeah.
Like that would have cost somebody else, or did cost somebody money, and they did that for us. So that's the side that I'm looking at. That like if we were to approach them and already have the piece cut up and the script written and everything, who knows what they would have asked for, for that to run, if they would have even considered it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I to echo that, just the fact that somebody, not only did somebody there care enough, but then somebody went out of their way. I mean, they had to craft that piece together and think about which shots they were going to show, and then of course, intersperse it with the poetry and everything else, or the Shakespeare. Like there was so much forethought put into it, and we're, like you said, we're so used to kind of getting that off the cuff jab or something slightly derogatory usually at the end. Maybe it's really lighthearted, maybe it's more serious from them. But the fact that somebody looked at it in a serious enough capacity to then put in, that much effort, I thought that's the part that kind of gave me chills. Like somebody there cared, and it was awesome.
Exactly. And actually this evening I was able to finally connect with the guy who did it, and they don't want really anybody kind of talking too much like directly about them, but basically just a really big disc golf fan that's on the inside there at ESPN. We obviously now know we have more than one, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's
because
great.
The one that I typically talk to is actually on vacation overseas, because I had contacted him, and he's like, no, that wasn't me, it was this guy.
Oh, wow.
And so I got in touch with him this evening before we spoke, just to kind of, I said, hey, I really appreciate what you did. Do you have a sec to talk on the phone? And he said, yeah, sure. And I just called him, and I wanted to just, first off, I was like, dude, I just want to thank you, because I know on behalf of every single disc golfer out there that saw that, I just want to make sure to say thank you for what you did, because I know that you were responsible for what happened. I know that none of us do this for the thanks and all that, and we all had a part in it. Obviously, if Paul hadn't done his thing and the media hadn't done their thing and everything happened, you wouldn't have gotten to do your thing. But the fact that you went beyond what we already did and did your part to put it on, in front of the world, because we kind of already did that on YouTube, but this was so much different and I think bigger in its own regard. So I called him and just kind of let him know that, like, I know you're not doing this for the praise, it's just part of your job, but I wanted to thank him for doing that on behalf of all of us. And he kind of was able to give me a little bit more of the inside scoop of kind of how it all came together. And basically he's been a huge disc golf fan. He's been watching, and all of the media of everything happening, and basically he had the opportunity to pitch a spot for the Monday night show, and that round had been, the post-production round had been released on Sunday, so he had seen that, and kind of it's just a perfect timing type of thing where that had just happened. And he kind of has this opportunity in the Monday morning meeting to say, like, all right, what do you got? And he basically pitched the idea and was like, this is what I want to do. And it just so happened that the right producers were there, or however that worked out. And they kind of were like, all right, they trusted him in his judgment that this was going to be a good piece. And then he went to work. He basically was like, he got the green light, let's do this. He cut the piece up. Like you said, he knew he knows disc golf and loves disc golf just like the rest of us, so he knew which shots were going to go where, and he wrote the script, and I got everything ready. And I think he said he wrote it all except for, I can't remember the guy's name. What's the commentator's name that did that?
It's been so long since I watched ESPN that I don't know the commentators anymore.
Exactly.
Keith Olbermann, I don't know.
Some people know his name, but anyway, so basically, like, he wrote down out the script the way it should be read, but then the anchor, the commentator, he's the one that took it above and beyond with the McBeth quotes, because he's like, he was talking about, he's like, these guys are so like professional, and like they want to make it as entertaining as possible, that he basically saw that and was like, oh, Paul McBeth, like he did all that. He apparently had gone and written out like 6 or 7 McBeth quotes and didn't even write them into the script. Apparently, like, he wrote it out off to the side, and as he's reading them, as he's interjecting these quotes, and the whole thing is just running like in real time. It's just insane to hear that that's how it happened. Like, it was, I just was like, I was so thankful to be able to make that connection with him and kind of hear the backstory of how it all happened. It was amazing. I just like, it's something that we'll remember forever. This weekend, I just want to look back on like 5-10 years from now and just think about what happened this weekend and how hopefully we see how it changed the direction of disc golf as far as the growth of it, because that's just huge for us as a whole.
Yeah, it really is, and I'm hoping, as we're all hoping, that it helps push our sport along to a wider audience.
Yeah, I mean, when all of us have probably had that experience where we're talking about it, and then someone, a distant family member or, an old high school buddy, sends you the Facebook message and be like, hey, did I see that disc golf thing that you do? Did I see that on ESPN last night? And, it's inevitably it was an ace at some point, and then they're making that connection or whatever. My dad, just the same, like, oh, I think I saw, one of those aces on disc golf, on ESPN the other night. But to have this piece be so much more than that, which was, I think, the fulfilling part of it.
And I think we're all glad that it wasn't Nico and his shirt. I think there would have been...
they would have ruled it out.
They would have ruled it out. There would have been... having it be... I mean, we all love Nico, but having it be Paul and just the professionalism he brings and exudes and looks adds another level to the respect that our sport can get, as opposed to Nico that day that happened to have the Saved by the Bell shirt.
Exactly. Now, please tell me, somebody yelled at him after the fact. I mean, there was a couple spoilers in there, right? I mean, on hole 16, he's talking about hole 16, and there's already a negative 16 in the corner, and I'm like, dude, don't you know about disc golf spoilers? I mean, you can't put up negative 16 until he makes that putt. I mean, come on. I mean,
true. I mean,
right?
If you think about it, he did that. They did that on hole 2 as well. They already put up the negative 3 before he hits the eagle putt. But
exactly.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my gosh,
he's gonna get hammered on the internet.
He should.
I mean, really.
This jerk at ESPN. But
I'm sure he really looks into the.
Oh yeah, the r/disc golf. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, let me get on there and see what people think about what I said.
Yeah, well, I'm working at Sports Center.
Like we said, it was just the fact that they did that. There's the main guy behind it, but they didn't think that beyond that, the anchor even took it even further to make it that much more memorable, because some people were like, oh, that was goofy and blah, blah. But it's like, did you really realize what was happening there? Like the connection there, and the fact that he took the time to write all that out, and really just gave me goosebumps the first time, and the first 5-10 times I saw it.
Yeah.
To hear them, the emphasis, and like he really gave it everything. He didn't just brush it off and was like, I got to do this and read through this and move on to the next thing. Like, that was a solid, 2 minutes of just focus. Like, they gave it everything they could, the full treatment like they would for an NFL or NBA or MLB highlight, really.
Exactly.
And that's what was so cool and so meaningful to all of us. And I was making sure to tell him that how much that meant, to have him kind of push that through and to do the work to make sure that got done, because if people need to know that was not cut up by us, that wasn't, that was somebody on the inside of ESPN, got the video, cut it up in the right way, and wrote the script.
Well, and I'll say this, I didn't assume that it was cut by you guys. I assumed you provided them with your post-production video. And then somebody on site cut that up, just because obviously with the extra graphic they had and the graphics at the bottom, I kind of thought, well, if Jonathan would have given him that, he might have given him the raw footage. He might not have. I don't know, because if it's a McBeth piece, all that extra stuff on the bottom might look confusing to some people. So if you had having the option, and the bottom, the funny part is, as you know, doesn't show his round score. It shows his total score.
Yeah.
So that's why I assumed, I knew you didn't give him, or that you didn't cut it, but I thought maybe it was just like, hey, we need this now, and you're like, okay, well, here's my cut, take it, or here's my footage, take it. But I like I said, I stand corrected that you didn't know at all, which I think is awesome.
At all. We're just waiting on AJ to come around the corner and give me my McNuggets. So that's as far as I was starving.
That's right.
I remember that, but I do remember, as hungry as I was, like I stopped and probably didn't eat for the next 20 minutes just because I was just like, what is going on? I watched it a few times, and then people were just like talking about it, and just seeing social media just go nuts, like in real time, as it's off of just some kind of ripped videos off of people's TVs, and that was enough for people to watch it 30,000 times or whatever it was, even before PDGA got a hold of the clean version. So that was just
and maybe you can find this out because you have the contacts in a week or so. I'd love to know if this made any ripples within SportsCenter, the social media push that and the shares that disc golf got, if they look at it and it's just a blip in the radar compared to a baseball double play, like or
a high school full
high
court
school
shot.
home run or full court shot, if this particular 2-minute piece triggers anything with them to say, hey, look, there maybe is some potential in this sport, as opposed to oh look, another 3-point, an awesome 3-pointer by Curry. What gets that type of social media push?
I can kind of say a little bit from what I was told. It's kind of like some loose numbers and stuff, but I know that they're going to get, I think they say they wait like 48 hours, for the solid numbers on the digital side, on the online. But he did say, like, even just from like glancing at the few posts, whether it was like Terry, like your ripped video and mine, and then the PDGA's like clean video, like if you start to put all that together, and he said it was like upwards of 300,000 views, in 24 hours or less. And he told me straight up, he said, honestly, whenever we put up like a clip of LeBron doing his thing or whatever, if they can hit, 500,000, then that's a really good, like a return. And to think that a niche sport pushed that, got close to that in 24 hours, I think it's enough
huge
for them. I think it's huge, and it's enough for them to say whenever they get the actual numbers, and they can go back and say, wow, like what if we would have posted that to social media, and what kind of push would that have gotten? To think that disc golf inside themselves were so excited about that and did that themselves and got that kind of exposure, I think that can show like there's potential to maybe get some more content, on there, just from seeing, with them putting forth some effort on their end on top of something spectacular happening, the result hopefully come back as positive for them too.
Yeah, and I'll say this from the bottom of my heart. Hopefully, if something like that happens, that they do reach out to someone like you or CCDG, because what you guys are doing right now, it has some of the best looks that we've seen in disc golf. I mean, there's so many people that always, and I don't, like I said, I don't understand. Maybe it's their nature of the internet and that want to put up this big rivalry between all of us, and we all look at it like we're all doing our own thing. We all have our own niche, and I know that what the live stuff that we put out isn't the quality for ESPN. Like, I get that. We need millions of dollars to do that. That's not what you guys need, which is phenomenal. And if they can come to you and say, hey, we want more of this stuff, hats off, man. I really hope that that's the future. I hope that we see stuff like that, because as the old saying goes, a rising tide lifts all boats. You guys get on SportsCenter more often, it's going to help out the live stuff. It's going to help out the Pro Tour. It's going to help out CCDG, the PDGA. Maybe we'll see the World Tour come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And people were kind of even telling me like, oh, why didn't you try to make sure your watermark was bigger? Why didn't you do this or that? And I was just like, that's not even my first concern. The fact that it's getting on and disc golf is winning, we all win. Like, that's such a big deal. Like, I'm not worried about, like you said, like SmashBoxx doing this or Central Coast or Jomez doing this or whatever. The fact that it's there in front of all those people is the primary goal for all of us, because we know that if disc golf's winning, then we all can win.
Yep.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, like it's the same thing with like the tours and stuff. Like, if disc golf can keep winning and doing its thing, then we can all just like that all comes secondary, but it all comes along with the territory. So that's why we're so excited. And I appreciate you guys, even kind of being excited for the fact that it happened, with our footage and things like that, because like you understand what I'm saying. Like
we've
it's
all
the same
been
thing
there.
if the scripts were flipped, and which has happened plenty of times. You guys have done things and it gets the huge exposure in Philo's, the Albatross and Central Coast. We were all just so pumped that it was happening. We because we were just like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, because we all see it and we think that could be us. From the GBO ace that we had 2 or 3 years ago, where
exactly.
That same year that we had DOS on, that DOS hit the ace, and it was kind of mediocre cell phone footage, and you're like, okay, what that is what it is. And then you see the Billy Engel ace, and where all the whole media is excited. You're like, wow, like this is a real potential. And then we see, we've seen the Albatross and Paige's ace get on there. We've seen a handful of other ones that you guys have done, and now with this big 2-minute piece, it gets everybody in the media and the community in general excited to think there's so much more potential here that we could all have. That it's not a zero sum. It's not like a, hey, you have the pizza, I want the pizza. There's more pizza. There's so many pizzas to eat.
and like as we've seen over time, you guys do a thing, Central Coast does a thing, we do a thing. Like keep doing your thing, like down the road, and then it'll be your footage the next thing, and we're all just doing our part to keep pushing that. As long as people understand that we all have our own product and we're all just trying to work as hard as we can in our respective fields, like things are going to keep going up. Like we're seeing a nice trend, and as long as we keep putting everything we've got into it, our hope is that it just keeps going that way. And with things that that happened yesterday, like no one could have planned that. Paul probably wasn't even planning on shooting 18 down. It just happened, like we know he's capable, but if you had asked him before the round, he would have just probably laughed if you would have said like, oh, can you shoot 18 down? He'd been like, okay, no.
Have you talked to Paul since this?
Actually, yeah, he texts, I think I texted him last night as soon as it happened, and he had texted me as soon as he landed in Czech, because he is on his way to Kona Piste, and he said, dude, what happened? Like, basically, he legitimately did not know. He had just turned his phone back on, because all I said was like, that was insane, congrats. And he just said, dude, what happened? And I said, well, if you don't know, you're about to know. And I just said, ESPN just gave you like one of the best birthday presents you've probably ever gotten. That's what I texted him, and he was like, oh my God, that's insane. He's like, I can't wait to watch it, because he still couldn't even watch it. He just had started seeing that it had happened. So that was about it, though. He had just landed last night, and so, but it was cool, like that he didn't even know. Like
I had thought that crossed my mind, because him being on the plane from Monday, that long flight over, when it happened, I thought, well, what an awesome birthday gift for Paul. And I thought, he might still be on the plane. Yeah. He might not know that it's happening. Yeah,
and I'm sure he's still been too busy kind of getting acclimated over there and maybe getting a practice round or two. And I don't even know if he's posted anything about it, just yet. But it's just cool. Like, we're all really obviously happy for him, and to see like what he did and to see the results of it, and to be able to share in that, as a whole, as a disc golf community, it's just so exciting. And yeah, it's unreal. Like as it was happening, I remember like, I try not to look at the scores too much, because obviously we're busy out there running around and getting angles and stuff. But sometimes
I don't know. I see Michael on his phone every once in a while.
Yeah, actually, that's like, you couldn't be more wrong. That guy doesn't even take his phone with him. I'm the one that people will message me as they're watching the live. They're like, dude, get off your phone. And I'm like, for one, it's usually me uploading the video from the day before, because I have my little remote connection on my phone. But people act like I'm
YouTube
like
Studio,
on Instagram, or they act like I'm like doing something else. It's either I'm on UDisc, making sure nothing crazy's happening elsewhere, just in case we need to like do something, or I'm uploading a video. But anyways, so I'm looking at the scores, and I'm like, all right, Paul's about to go 10 down through 9. This is crazy, and it happens. Then he like takes a par on 10, and And I remembered Waco, the same thing happened. So I'm like, all right, don't, this is okay. Like, it's still a great round. And then it just like keeps going and going and going. We get to like 16. We're like, no way. Like 16, then 17, and then hole 18. Like, oh my God, like what is happening right now? Like this might happen. And I don't know that.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about 16 or 17. I was worried about 18. Honestly.
Exactly. And I don't know many times that like, we see a lot of really amazing golf and these guys are doing so great, but I don't know many times that I just like get like goosebumps or like really like anticipating like something happening. And I just remember lining up the shot in 18 and just thinking, this is a putt, and everyone's here watching and waiting to see like this thing chains out or misses. It's still a great round. Everyone's still pumped, but it's not 18. And this thing goes in and the whole place is going to go nuts. And I just remember waiting for that to happen and just like being like, all right, this is it. You got to get the shot because this could be something that people watch for a long time. And I just remember like it happened and it looked like it was going to go right, and just watching it catch and fall. And I just like, oh my God, like just the feeling, like goosebumps, just like it happened. Everyone, the energy was just something that you just cannot even describe. It was so cool. And just like to be a part of that and to be fortunate enough to be on the card at the course, as it was happening, was just something that, we're so grateful to have the opportunity, to Steve Dodge and the Pro Tour letting us be there, and the fact that the fans alone have gotten us to this point for even us to be able to be on tour full time, and just to have all that come together and Paul do his thing for us to just be there to have the responsibility and the opportunity to capture that moment. It's something that we'll never forget. It's amazing.
Well, I was saying last night when I first saw it, thinking about Paul and his birthday, of course, a very unique timing for that to come out. Just awesome, as we all said. But I was thinking Paul is a natural athlete and a very talented and gifted one. Of course, he's got his baseball days that he was into before disc golf. He's just always been that natural-born athlete and competitor. And so on your birthday, there is a featured piece about you, and you were an athlete as a child and again, very competitive. Like the feeling that he should have of pride and accomplishment. It's not an end-all be-all for him, of course, and he's been on there and before, but to have that piece be so meaningful and to commemorate really that amazing accomplishment, that tremendous round, all of those things, I just think as internally for him, it's probably even more special than we all realize. I mean, we all know he probably loves it, but deep down as that competitor, like you dream as a kid of that home run in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, or making the 3-pointer fade away to win the NBA Finals, whatever those situations are. This is as big as it gets, and to have that all ultimately, recapped in the piece that it was on SportsCenter, like as an athlete, I think that's even that much more special. And for all those reasons, I'm incredibly happy and proud, for him. And like you said, for you guys, and I made the same post, for you guys, for the Pro Tour, for the Great Lakes Open, and for all of disc golf. Everyone, well, except the rest of the field, everyone wins in this situation.
Honestly, though, you say that, but we know that every single one of these fellow competitors, they are so pumped. Because they all understand. We as media understand when each of us has a thing that gets big, the same way that all the players understand that as soon as another player rises up and does something incredible, that just paves the way for them to go on and do something incredible, or maybe the money to come through the years down the road that they can benefit from, a big sponsorship or something. So, I know Paul Ulibarri was one of the first people that I saw posted was congratulating him. And I know a lot of, I'm sure so many players did, fellow competitors. And then that's how it should be. And that's what makes disc golf so great, is that we can all just, be there for each other and congratulate each other, when things go, or things like this happen, because that you wish it was you, but you're just happy that it happened at all. Just like we said from the media side, I think the competitors are the same way. And I remember kind of seeing Feldberg and Nico and Kevin just so pumped. As soon as he hit that putt, they were the first ones there, as they should be when it happened, to give him a hug and congratulate him, because they knew like that was such a big deal, and to think that they were right there alongside as fellow competitors, and to be able to witness that. So when we're talking about this moment, however many years down the road, you can say, I was there, I was there alongside him. Or in the gallery, people were saying, I was there when he did it, and it was just so cool because we all want to be there. And there's so many people that said, I watched it live, on you guys' feed. And that's so cool that you guys gave so many thousands of people the opportunity to experience that, so that they can say that. They can say, I watched it live, and that's really cool to think that you guys are doing that, and we're able to be there and, to do that as well, and to have so many people be a part of that experience.
Yeah, it was,
as it happened.
It was certainly incredible. Again, everybody wins. I'll just take one question, and normally we kind of get to questions in the after show, but I think a very legitimate question that just came in was, what if it wasn't one of the biggest names? What if it wasn't, the McBeths or the Lizottes and the Germs and some of our bigger names? Oh, did I just say Germ? Damn it. Okay, some of the other bigger names in our sport. What if a Willie Prince, who honestly a lot of us, outside of Grand Rapids didn't necessarily know him, until Sunday's round. If it was a Willie Prince or maybe a more a fellow Michigan native, for instance, who we don't see on the Pro Tour week in and week out, do you feel like the impact is there? Does this round and a Sports Center, do all of these things still have that impact? And assuming they were also featured and covered, does it have that impact?
I don't think so. I think a lot of us can agree that it's like you said, Paul. I mean, he just has. I was talking with AJ about this last night, and I wasn't really going to put up much of a publicly like what my statement was, but I guess I might leave it with you guys just as a debate and not a slight against any other player. But I basically thought about the statement, like, when Paul McBeth is winning, disc golf is winning. And you got to think about the times that he's been winning and how big those things were.
Yeah.
Because other players are doing things and they're doing incredible things, but something about when he's doing his thing, it's just like, it's got this little extra oomph to it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to slight any other player, but think about in Utah Open 2 weeks ago, we had another 1,100 rated round. And it didn't quite, push as hard. I know it wasn't as big a deal, but, 2 weeks ago, we did have a pretty big deal happen in Utah, and it should have, I don't know.
You're totally right. And I'm with you that I think for whatever reason, whether it's a disc golf bias, a media bias,
manufacturer bias, a fanboy or girl bias,
inherently a champion bias. He's a 4-time champion. That when he does it, it means just that little bit more. And it would have been, I think, switch roles, put Ricky in that position where Ricky's on the card, he shoots 18 down. I think it probably still would have gone on Sports Center. It still would have had a big impact. I don't know if it would have had the same impact, and I'd love to find out. Come on, Ricky.
Yeah.
It's just a debate. We may never find out, because it's not going to be that. We'll never find out in that situation if they switched roles. But that's just something, like I said, I would never slight any other player or anything. But that's just something that I just started thinking about last night, and we kind of had our little discussion about it, and we had our little points here and there. But it's just something that people can discuss, and maybe some other people can come up with some other reasons or why that may or may not be the case. But that's just something that kind of came across my mind. And I know Ricky wasn't there to give his shot at it, but that's just something,
No, and I think as on the board, a great analogy is the Tiger effect, in that how often, even and not saying Paul has, but when Tiger has gone through his tough times and was all but irrelevant in terms of the winner's circle, he still had the largest galleries. He still had people following him around. To this day, I think Tiger could be on the 4th or 5th group at a tournament, and he's going to have a larger gallery than, the lead pairing. I want to call it lead card, lead pairing does. and again, I'm not saying Paul has slipped, obviously. I'm just saying that it's that effect. He has been that engaging and has been that followed and that well-liked that, what you're saying, there's definitely some validity to that. You call it the McBeast effect,
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that, like you just said, the fourth card, the fifth card. We've seen a good-sized gallery for Paul when he's not having his best tournament because they're waiting. They're waiting for him to just turn on, beast mode or whatever, like they know that final round or moving day, like something's going to happen, and so that's already a thing, like you said, Tiger or whatever, but it's happening with us too,
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just that effect, there's something that we can't really explain. But I said that mainly just to say, like, it's a good thing. Like I said, when he's winning, things are going well for the sport as a whole, and like I said, so that down the road when this kind of big exposure happens, these same players, these other players can be benefiting from it, and disc golf as a whole can, and media and the fans and everybody. So
I totally agree. Well, it's been a great ride, and it's even more beautiful, as Johnny pointed out earlier. We're only halfway-ish through the season, and
crazy.
Are you going to make it? I mean, I'm looking at your schedule. You just played. We just did the GLO. Your next stop, according to YouTube, is Idlewild. You've got what, 12 days off? What are you going to do?
Fish, grow
Yeah,
beards.
I mean, anybody that knows me from my Facebook knows that if I'm not playing disc golf, I try to go fishing, and I love being able to travel and to try different places and different species and stuff. So it's fun, but honestly, we're gonna chill for a couple days. We've got to get to Indianapolis. We've got 2 Final Nines this weekend, so we've got one in Carmel, Indiana.
Nice.
And also, we get to return to Delwood. I love that course, and we get to finally hold a Final Nine there. We
Nice.
went through there last year and met Sean Callahan and got to see the course. And I told him last year, like, I was like, we're going to come back here for a Final Nine. And then, so that's what we're doing Sunday. So Saturday in Carmel, Indiana, Sunday at Delwood. There's already 108 people signed up. It's going to be our biggest Final Nine ever. It's going to be a good time. So that's what we're doing this weekend.
Awesome.
We're trying to fill in some of our open weekends with Final Nines. We have such a good time with those events and just getting to meet new people and see other courses that don't get to see the Pro Tour and big events like that. So it's cool to be able to do that. So, and then, yeah, we are looking forward to Idlewild. I mean, we had such a good time there last year. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to that one.
Awesome. All right. Any parting shots? Anything you want to say before we let you go?
No, I think I talked enough. I appreciate you guys having me on and
Always
listening to me blabber about it. I just get so pumped about this weekend. Like, it's just something that it's so cool to see it happen and to be there to experience it. So I appreciate it. And I want to just say thank you to all the people out there watching, watching the live feeds, watching the post-production, sharing things along Facebook. It just means so much. All the engagement that we get as disc golf media is the only reason that we're still here doing what we do from week to week. So I know that you guys, feel the same way. I just want to make sure everyone knows that we appreciate every little like and comment and view and everything. It propels what we're doing and it propels the sport. So definitely thank you to everyone out there watching and doing your thing.
I say it again and again. Plug your Patreon.
Patreon. Yeah, we just hit 500 patrons today, which is huge.
Great.
I'm going to make a post about it tomorrow. We're going to do a giveaway. 500 is huge. I would have never seen that coming. So thank you to everyone that's already on there. If you're not already on there, we appreciate it. You can do as low as $1 a month. Jomez Pro, patreon.com/Jomez Pro. We appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, pal. Well, get back to your fishing and enjoying yourself, and looking forward to seeing you in about 10 days or so. We may be sharing some living spaces of some degree, or uploading spaces, I hear,
right.
when we get to Kentucky. So we'll run into you then.
We'll see you there.
All right, buddy. Have
See
a
you
good
later,
night.
Jonathan.
See ya.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Great updates from the Jomez Pro crew over there, as, of course, they continue to do big things.
I just love that Jonathan spells his name right.
Yeah, that's adorable.
Chan. That's the way it's got to be. There's too many O. There's a few Owens out there. There's an extra H in there for some people. He's got it right. That guy knows what's going on.
Yeah, he does. All right. Well, I do have a very special or unique situation that Paul Ulibarri, I believe, is in an airport in France, and he wants to join us.
Bonjour.
Okay. So I guess the question here strategically is, do we wrap things up? Do we call it, have him officially headline our after show, which would be my vote, or do we just bring him right in? Or does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
I like the idea of a after show headliner. That's honestly one of my favorite ideas. I think we can call it, and I don't want to say I'm a little worried, but I'm a little worried that we'll have Paul Ulibarri doing a lot of gushing over Paul McBeth's awesome round yet again.
We'll try to tamper that down.
But and that's only because, as Jonathan had just mentioned a few moments ago, Uli was one of the first people to go out there, not only congratulate Paul McBeth, but then go ahead and give additional accolades and discuss just how difficult that round was. And when he then ultimately came over to the Discraft factory a little while later. He had some friends there and was hanging out, and we were still there after the broadcast on Saturday. And Dixon and myself and Uli had a really good conversation about the difficulty of courses, about what Paul just did, about his other great rounds that we've seen, about Ricky Wysocki and some other great rounds that he's seen, as both Robert and Dixon have talked about. Wysocki shot a 55 at a Texas State Championships, I believe it was, a few years ago, on a 21-hole layout, is rated at 1,100 and something. And I don't want to say it's gotten lost in the mix, but I think because there hasn't been the sheer exposure of it.
Without the video coverage.
There ain't video, it doesn't happen, isn't that what the kids say? That might even, is that on video? Can someone confirm?
It might be.
But it certainly has gotten, we'll say, pushed down in the mix. You know, what have you done for me lately kind of thing, I guess, is maybe part of that. But we can talk more a little bit about that with Paul Ulibarri. I think it's just cool to have him dialing in from France. So
let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been it's been a great night. It's been a lot of fun catching up with Robert McCall.
Great weekend.
Finding out what was taking place over at the Toonie. And all those other names and places I can't remember or pronounce. But it was great catching up, and very excited to head down to Emporia, land of dynamic disc, check out the PDGA Junior World Championships. I'm guessing I'll be doing some Facebooking and some vlogging and maybe some interviews, maybe some live. I don't know. We'll get that all worked out, but hopefully you guys tune in this weekend. I was going to say the tune in.
You got to throw the pun in there.
You have to. This weekend, so that we can see what's taking place with the juniors. And if you're not paying attention to all of that, head over, find Jomez, do a little action in the Midwest here, and maybe become a part of that Final 9 action they got going on. So for Robert, Jonathan, Johnny V, that is, and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll have some giveaways. We'll have Paul Ulibarri. We'll have all sorts of action coming at you in the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We're here at SmashBoxxTV's podcast 203 After Show. Terry Miller along with Johnny V. And hopefully we're going to have a very special guest in Paul Ulibarri. And I think Paul Ulibarri is looking to join us from France, is maybe what I think he told me. I think we're going to get a very special airport lounge setting from Paul Ulibarri. I told him that he can dial in with us as soon as possible.
I'm going to call him.
We'll see what he's doing, what he's up to, as I think he's getting ready to travel over to the Czech Republic. Is that where they're playing? Prague, Czech Republic, somewhere, Konopiste? Is that? I just keep throwing words out. Is that where we're going? I can't wait to watch the FPO footage.
Hold on. There's Terry. I'm really excited to watch 4 rounds of FPO coverage.
You are? Good. Hey, Paul. How we doing? Let's get you officially on the shot. Welcome.
The GOAT. The man himself.
Paul
Ulibarri. Oh, wait.
You guys are such dorks.
We are. We are. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good, a little tired.
So give us, dare I say, give us the update. Where are you at? What's going on? Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm in France right now. I had left, I don't know, a couple of days ago, I guess Monday. And my flight got canceled, of course. And so I had to have a 20-hour layover in France, which was actually awesome because I got to go downtown Paris and watch the World Cup.
That was one of the questions on the board. What is the vibe? What's going on? And I couldn't tell you who's kicking soccer balls around yet, but give us an update on the World Cup. And then what's the vibe there?
I'm telling you, man, I've never experienced anything like it, ever. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. The whole entire city shut down, pretty much. There's just people on their horns, in their cars, just the whole, for 4 straight hours. Their parties, I did a little bit of Snapchat just to, show what was going on. People were on top of, restaurant rooftops, jumping up and down. It was chaos. It really was. It was awesome.
Is France still in the World Cup?
Yeah, they won.
Oh, they won it? The whole...
Well, not the whole thing. They won their match.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When is this thing over with?
It's over. Yeah, they won everything.
Oh.
They won the World Cup, the biggest sporting
okay.
event in the world.
Okay, so it's a big deal.
Oh, seriously? They won the whole thing?
See, that's why Johnny just made it sound like it wasn't done.
Oh, I thought they had one more match. My bad.
No.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Woo, France!
Yeah, France.
No, everyone's saying it's not over yet. They're in the finals. That's what I thought. Thank you. I'm so...
Yeah, they made it to the finals.
Okay. Then I was correct that they just made it to the finals, that they did not win the whole thing. Okay, you totally confused me for a second. I thought I knew what was going on, and then you threw it all up in the air.
And to think we don't host SportsCenter on our own show, that's crazy.
I'm not kidding you. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
But you're safe, and that's what matters. Now, do you feel like was the excitement dangerous? Were you at any point? Were you a little nervous?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
It's just electric.
People were kissing, and it was amazing.
There was a tower somewhere.
Yeah, it was
so you're boarding in the next half hour, 45 minutes or less. And where are you going? And now what?
Prague. I'm going to the Konopiste Open.
Okay. So it's what is it? Wednesday there. The play starts on
Wednesday.
Friday or Thursday?
Thursday.
Ew.
Yeah, my practice day is now gone. But I'm going to make my practice tee time, luckily.
Okay, so explain what that means to everyone that's unfamiliar.
So we all have tee times for a practice day on Wednesday, day before the tournament, and you have to sign up beforehand to get those practice tee times, and mine's at 1 o'clock or something, so I'll be able to make that pretty easily. I fly in at 9 a.m.
And are those, if let's just say your plane is canceled or you oversleep or whatever, are those the only times you can be out on the course playing and practicing?
I'm not there. I have no clue.
Oh, okay.
No clue.
Who's
I
in
just
your
know
group?
that somebody messaged me and they're like, "Hey, you need to sign up for a practice round." I'm like, "Oh, all right."
You're like,
And they
I
gave
don't
me a
need
time to go.
practice.
Practice.
Yeah, practice.
I totally need practice.
All right, so break down the course. Give us a little preview.
I have no clue. Never been.
So you don't need practice. You just need to show up.
I have no. I literally have. I've watched like 9 holes of this place. It looks awesome.
Okay.
Everybody says it's like the greatest course ever. I remember Simon like went eagle birdie or something to win the tournament a couple years back. I remember that. But
Sounds like that was one of the questions we forgot to ask Jomez. We were kind of surprised they're not there in some capacity in terms of the coverage, and we forgot to ask him why not or what was going on. But so yeah, you watch a little bit of coverage. You're all practiced up.
Good enough.
No, you don't have a. I think I heard maybe it's from Hannah who said that she's rooming. That Paul is rooming with Yuli. Do you guys have like assigned rooming, or is everyone kind of on their own for lodging? Is that kind of organized for you? Do you have a travel companion or roommate?
I'm definitely not rooming with Paul.
Okay. That Yuli or not Yuli? I'm sorry, Germ. I apologize. Wow, that's a big mistake. That Germ and McBeth were rooming together, and that's where I guess I was saying are like rooming situations. Are those taken care of or organized, or how does that work there?
No, like you have to I'm guessing UC probably set him up because I think he's going to be doing the commentary for the. So I'm guessing something like that happened.
Okay.
I have different plans with some friends and stuff.
Okay. And how long are you going to be there? Like what kind of
Till
breakdown?
Monday.
Okay, so you're in and out for the most part on this.
Yeah.
And then are you coming right back to the U.S. or are you going
straight back to the U.S.? I'll be playing Kentucky the next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
You're a world traveler. That's all I got to say.
Well, thanks.
Yeah,
that's
like.
Paul.
Are you excited? Are you excited at all to play this major without a ton of practice? Is there something a little more exciting about it? Kind of, or is it? Or do you dread it? Do you think like, oh God, it's a major, it's an important event. I should really be prepared for this event. Or do you kind of get the feeling like I'm going to a new course? There's zero expectations. I'm going to get maybe a quick practice round in, and that's it.
No, I'm completely bummed. I'm missing a practice day because of my flight. I'm going to be jet lagged for my practice round, and then I play a major championship the next day. I'm definitely not pumped about it.
I was saying earlier that it doesn't. There's maybe it's the past weekend that we just went through, but I don't feel like there's a major coming up. There's not an excitement around this event, and maybe it's because it's overseas and it doesn't. It just kind of is so far away. Maybe it'll get that way come the weekend. I don't know, but there's not an excitement. You don't think so? There just doesn't. It just doesn't feel.
There's too many big events now. Like people are so on to the next weekend that like there's no excitement. I feel like for any tournament really anymore. World championships, U.S. championship, those ones kind of stand alone. But there's a pro tour every single weekend. Jomez isn't going to be filming it. It's just the hype's just not there. There's too many big events.
Should we have less of them? Or is that not necessarily an answer? I
don't know what the answer is.
Okay.
I think that the majors should be bigger than they are. Like I bet Kona Peace Day, if they had $30,000 for first and $3,000 at 20th, like you'd have everybody here, and guess what? It would feel a little bigger, and it just isn't, because what are you going to get? $1,000, $2,000 more, and that's just me being real right now. Like that's not me trying to put down the tournament in any way. That's just the way that it is. Every single weekend, you have a pretty good event.
Do you think that it's a case of the majors having to now catch up, so to speak, with the pro tour? They're already above, but to get that extra step, because the pro tour and the NTs have lifted everything and the majors haven't responded? Or what's your thought?
In years past, I think that UC has probably done a better job of advertising for its majors. Like the European Open has definitely been bigger and more advertised, and you've seen like things. And I just didn't see that this year with the Columbus. I mean, did you? That's honestly, yeah.
No, and I don't know if it's a matter of him not wanting to step on pro tour.
I'm not even sure that he's the tournament director.
He's not. He's not the tournament director. I looked earlier today. So I don't know what his exact involvement is with the event. I know he's not the tournament director or assistant TD, but he clearly has some sort of involvement either through spin
so let
or
me
media.
Rephrase that. When a person like UC is running the major, it has a bigger hype. So I didn't mean to throw him under the bus. That was more me giving him praise for how good his tournaments are ran.
I think you kind of fall into the same thing that a lot of us over here fall into. If it's a big event overseas in Europe, we just assume UC's involved or the major push behind it. And I don't necessarily think that's wrong a lot of times. He has some involvement, but what do you think that the majors need to do now to push themselves to get that extra status above the Elite Series?
I think they need to have just a staff that prepares the whole entire year, kind of like the U.S. does and the Worlds do. Like I feel like these other majors that people are throwing in are kind of like just that thrown in, and there's a new one every year. It seems like the, I guess that what do we have 3 this year? Like that's silly to me. I think we have 3 majors, like 3 pro major championships.
Yeah.
And then one year we had 5. Like it's just there's no consistency. How are you supposed to, in like other sports like these championships have such like a rich tradition, and if you keep changing these things, there's no way for them, plant their roots and then, become stronger and bigger and more full and everything. You can see that with the USDGC and how you just can count on a quality event. The World Championships, just because of their name, is always going to be big. And then, something needs to happen. Like I think there needs to be a Players Championship or, a PDGA championship. They have the Worlds, but that's, completely different. There needs to be 4 big tournaments per year that are
Yeah, no, I think 4
bigger than these other ones for sure.
I think 4 is a pretty good number that you can that should be set in general. Have Worlds be kind of a rotating one. Have USDGC probably a static where it is every year. Have a European major, preferably at the same spot, and then figure out an additional one somewhere.
Right.
Well, I
always thought that it was a good idea, even though they kind of turned it into the NT finale was the what is the one at the end of the year?
Hall of Fame Classic?
Yeah, the Classic. I thought that would have been a good like PDGA major to count on every year, and I think we played one in 2009 or 10 there.
Yeah, it was the 11. Year. So it was, I believe it was 10 or 11, and it was the year. It was called the Player Championship, and that was the first year that the USDGC had. I sidestepped is the word that comes to mind, but it's not. The USDGC had taken on the different format of going to the performance base. So because that wasn't a pro caliber or geared towards pros as being a major, that's when the Player Championships came about at the International Disc Golf Center.
Right.
It's driving me crazy. I don't remember if it was 10 or 11. I feel like it was 11. Somebody can Google's that.
But as a player, like obviously it's a major, and I'm gonna be pumped to play it and all those things. But I'm saying as far as like the hype and everything, it's definitely. I don't think it feels like the U.S. or it feels like Worlds or something like that.
Well, and it was interesting to see the tactic used, I believe, last year as part of the World Tour, in that a major was granted to Australia in the Aussie Open, and a lot of people, myself included, were kind of baffled, saying, this isn't an established event. Why are we granting it as a major status, especially when you're talking about the challenge and the expense of players, of most of the top players, to be able to get there and participate in it? And the answer that I ultimately received is it was almost a reverse approach. Rather than building it and then attaching a major status to a big, established event, let's give it the major status in hopes of then attracting the bigger names.
And it didn't exactly work out that way.
And unfortunately, like, the European Open's huge, of course. They do a great job with that, and I think that's why they're trying to go every other year. UC was from major to A tier, from major to A tier. In order to get the players that need to be over there for it to be even considered a major, you're going to have to put up a lot of money. You know, it's expensive, and not a lot of the sponsors are paying for these people to go over there. The people who are over there are the same ones. You know, those are the people that get their travel paid for. You know, so it's kind of funny. If you want to know who gets paid to go places, just look who's playing the majors overseas.
And I'll follow that up, because that's a question that gets asked is, who covers, is all of your international travel covered, those types of things. And correct me if I'm out of line, but I believe a lot of the players, the majority of the players, have a certain stipend or budget or allotment from a sponsor for the year, and then you guys can kind of choose, hey, I'm going to spend the $1,500 on this plane ticket, and I'm going to spend the $700 on that plane ticket, or the $2,200 on that plane ticket. You guys can all kind of pick and choose, but whatever it is, there's usually an allotment for you then to pull from throughout the year. But it's certainly not an endless pool of travel. Is that a good way to put it?
No, but if you like set up something to that's benefiting your company, if you're setting up clinics and stuff like that, then I'm sure, especially Prodigy for me has always been very helpful. If I wanted to go overseas and run 4 or 5 clinics, like, they have no problem picking up my plane ticket and doing things like that. And I'm sure that's the same for other companies as well.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I found was interesting a couple years ago as the World Tour announced itself, and it speaks to exactly what you were saying. I very much worried that from a World Tour perspective, the 3 or 4 players that you would get at every World Tour event, or at all the stops, were the 3 or 4 that were on kind of that Innova/Discmania payroll. I mean, you had Simon, you had Paul, and
Eagle.
Sexton and Eagle, and they were the brand ambassadors, which I think is great. And I'm by no means begrudging any of them for what they've been granted. But like you said, they're there, and they're for sure going to be there. They're also the ones that are more than likely subsidized to be there, and everyone else is trying to rub a couple nickels together to find a way to get there, to hopefully break even.
Sure.
So it's I understand how tough it is out there. Random side note, and this will be valuable later for us. How many flights ultimately are you taking before you touch down and you're at your final destination here?
This time?
This time.
It's only been, this will be 2 flights.
Wow. Okay. All right. We'll use that later in some Patreon.
It was supposed to be like 4 flights, but my first one got delayed. So then my second flight got canceled. So then my first flight was completely different, and it just came to France, and they just stuck me here forever. So,
they wanted you to experience World Cup fanatics.
Yeah, that's it.
It was awesome. I'm actually very pumped that I got to be here.
A little silver lining.
I'll never forget that.
We talked to Jonathan Jomez. We know what's going on a little bit at the Junior Worlds taking place in Emporia right now, and I'm excited to get down there in the next few days. Give us your quick recap of the weekend. How do you feel like you were treated in Michigan, and I know you had some gracious hosts, and it was give us your recap on the weekend, Pro Tour event, and so on. And first big event in Michigan that we've been at in a while.
Of course, it was good to see the Great Lakes back on the map. It's just a classic tournament that, another one that I feel like really does have a lot of rich tradition there. I remember going there, and when I was, an AM, I had just won AM Worlds, and I played the Great Lakes for the first time, and I remember thinking like, this is awesome. This feels really big, and I've tried to go back as much as I could to the event, and it's been up and down over the last few years, as far as the tier and everything. But I've always tried to support this craft and stuff. Those guys over there are like family to me. They picked me up when I was an amateur, and I've maintained a really close friendship with Mike Wagner over the past 10 years. And so whenever there's a big event that they're a part of, I like to support them and hang out with him, have a good time. The tournament was great. The staff was awesome. The course was so soft.
It was McBeth soft, at least.
Oh,
why was it soft for McBeth,
like
but
a
not
pillow.
you? Why? I think that's my question.
The course was so soft.
Yeah,
It was like so
you didn't even
soft
want
that
those
it was, like,
birdies.
hard.
Yeah.
for us,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
like,
You're not used to playing a course that easy.
Yeah.
I mean,
you didn't
give
even
me some
want 'em.
challenge.
It's like when you go to like a pitch and putt
Uh-huh.
and like you miss the first three, and then all of a sudden you shoot like a 49, and you're like, I usually shoot this. It was like one of those things.
So you made a post. You made a post about Paul's round, and we covered this with Jonathan, so we don't need to get too much into it. But you said that was the greatest round ever played because there are shots that you cannot make. What shots out there couldn't you do? Because from what I saw, nothing that Paul did was, and everything he did was spectacular from start to finish, but nothing was something that I didn't feel you could do on a great day.
Sure. So just so you guys know, I posted my post before he even played 18 because I didn't care if he birdied 18. To me, it was still going to be the best round ever shot.
Even if he double
And so
bogeyed it?
He's not. Obviously, the kid was not going to double bogey.
All
but
right,
so,
all right.
And so I posted that post before 18. It's not that I can't birdie every hole out there. Like that's not the case. I can birdie every single hole out there. But to string that many birdies in a row, okay, on a course that's that difficult, because that course is not easy, guys. Like for the people out there, I think the best amateur score from the short layouts was a 56, and that's your amateur champion, your U.S. amateur champion. Those guys are really good, right? I think in years past, I think maybe Ricky shot a 49 on a way shorter, easier layout, and that was like bonkers. Well, I remember everybody being like, "Oh my gosh, he shot a 49." So then Paul comes out and he does what he does. The fact that he could string those birdies together is insane. Because, like, for instance, hole 5, when he had to make the 60-footer, like, that's just not an easy get. Like, that's just not an easy birdie. Hole 1 is not an easy birdie. Hole 2 is not an easy eagle. Hole 4, like, these holes have certain, like, elements to the holes where they're tough. And one mess up and you're done, and they're easy to, even if you throw a perfect shot, 2 perfect shots, you're still left with, a 30, 40 footer sometimes. It's just the way the course plays. And so for the hole 18 is damn near impossible.
Which is funny because that lead card, we saw 4 people have a putt at birdie.
Yeah, and it's not that easy.
No, it's not. We watched Nico throw a roller. I believe Felberg, I think, threw a roller. Yeah. And then Conrad got up there, and obviously McBeth on that final round put it up there.
But things happen on greens. There's sloped greens out there. It's windy. It's just that the distances are, what is the shortest hole, 250 feet, and then everything after that's over 300 feet. I don't care if you put people in the wide open field and tell them to birdie the same hole 18 times in a row. It's not going to happen, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. It's not an easy thing to do. There's arguments about Vibram and Fountain Hills and things like that, and yeah, those are all great rounds. But the crazy thing to me as well is he's doing this at the highest stage every single time. Like, this isn't happening at a B tier. This isn't happening at a smaller A tier. This is happening on film every time.
He has a gear that other people don't.
That speaks volumes to how great Paul McBeth is, and how there's certain athletes on the planet, right, that when the cameras are rolling, they're better. He's one of those athletes.
Does that frustrate you? Rare. Does that frustrate you? Thinking like, oh God, please don't. Oh, they're filming him. Son of a bitch.
No, God, no, man. I love it. I absolutely 100% love it, man. Without people like him, like, it gives. Just think about the exposure he gave all of us. He gave all of us. Like, I am so thankful that this has happened, because this is a huge step. When Nate Doss had that ace and it got on SportsCenter, that was a huge step. It was so small, but it was so big at the same time. And this just feels so much bigger because my tweet was on there, you know? And that's really...
That's clearly what it boils down to.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Really,
where would we be without you at this point?
Without your tweet, we'd be in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
It's like crazy to me. No, but seriously, the exposure that he got, he had a mess up on ESPN, right? That's what people don't understand. This is the first time where not a made shot was on ESPN, where it didn't go in the basket.
True.
Where a putt was on there. You see what I mean? Like,
yeah,
this show, this is the first time the world actually got to see how disc golf was played. And it looked really cool. They didn't bash it. They made it not really cool. They made it look really professional and like, oh my gosh, this was an actual tournament that he's in, you know, with the crowd on hole 18 and the way that they did the whole entire thing. Like, it's a lot bigger than what people think, because now, instead of people just saying like, oh yeah, he made, you know, he bounced the thumber in on that was really cool, like lucky shot or something like that. They're actually like, oh my God, this guy, you know, did something incredible that ESPN wanted to show the world how incredible this is. It's like kind of like maybe like somebody bowling a 300 game and them showing it every single strike on ESPN. That doesn't happen often. It only happens when it's for like a world championship or something like that. So what he did for all of us right there is so big, because it just allows, it's going to push everybody to such a high level, just him doing 18 under, because now guess what? Everybody's going to think that's totally doable, and there's going to be more 18 unders. There will be. There will be more.
I don't think so.
For sure. There will be.
I don't think we see another 18 under in an elite level or up event 5 years. The next 5 years.
I'll take that bet.
All right. Put it on.
Put it up.
Okay.
And at least there'll be watches now where people are going to get 15, 16 in a row for sure. And that almost happened in Australia. Like, Ricky and Eagle were on pace to do it. This isn't something that's just like. And also, what was it? There's a couple other tournaments where they're posting these crazy rounds where it's like getting close to them shooting perfection.
Yeah.
Well,
it's going to happen.
No matter how, yeah, and you're echoing exactly what we were saying with Jonathan earlier, in that it's exciting for everyone. It's exciting for the media crews. It's exciting, of course, for Paul and his sponsors. It should be exciting for the Pro Tour and the Great Lakes Open staff and Kensington Metro Parks. Like, every single person that is either directly or even on the fringe of being involved with this, even if you're just a recreational disc golfer, it's that much cooler because now you have that parent or that grandparent or that cousin that, you know, you can point to and be like, yeah, look at this piece. Like, because as you said, it was handled so professionally.
I had people from my high school message me and being like, who is this guy? Is this guy beating your socks off? Like, why are you letting this guy beat you? You know, they don't know anything about
Yeah, that's when
golf.
you're
It's
like, that's
old
the other
basketball
Paul.
buddies and stuff.
You're so funny because
Yeah, and they're like, where are you?
Your friends from high school probably think you're like the greatest disc golfer because
Ever.
because you're good.
Sure.
Like I'm not gonna lie, like in Wisconsin, my family, I would go to tours and I'd be like, oh yeah, I played advanced and I took 3rd or 5th or 7th. They're like, oh, you're so great, and it's like, I'm not that great. Like, trust me, but they're what you know. They are the connection to the sport, and when they see it, they reach out to you and be like, this dude, well, how is this dude beating you, man? Like, you're the best.
Yeah.
I know you.
Yeah, no, seriously, I had a bunch of people message me and they're just like, hey, why aren't you on there? Like, type thing, just giving me, you know, a little crap. It's pretty cool.
It's the other Paul.
It's good though.
Yeah,
he was playing the short tees. I was playing. That's what you tell him. He was playing the kid tees.
I wasn't there.
Because if I was,
Just lie to him.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I mean, look, you didn't even see me in the top 4 or 10 or. I'm just
No, the sad thing is I had the next best round and he beat me by 7.
That is awesome. There you go. You shot course record. You tied course record. Yeah, I lost by 7.
Oh, got the course record. No. Oh.
Yeah, and you know, what about the scoring day and the scoring, you know, on Sunday? I mean, some people besides, you know, McBeth shooting an 11 and then of course Willie Prince shooting 14. What do you have an inside scoop? I'll admit that I'll tell you, Kowalski, OG original Grand Rapids OGR, is that if that's a term. Hav from Grand Rapids was messaging me while the broadcast was going on, and he's giving me these updates about Willie who's from Grand Rapids. And at one point, Hav sent me a picture that I forwarded on to Matt from UDisc, and then UDisc uploaded a picture, so there was actually one of Willie Prince because there wasn't a picture mid-round of him. So that's how nimble we are over here at Smashbox and UDisc, of course. And what do you think about all of that? I mean, people came to play on Sunday.
You know, that's just becoming a theme everywhere. There's good players everywhere. It's just the way that it's going to be from now on. And at big tournaments, you're going to see a bunch of Willies out there playing great golf. You know, really, like it's.
You just said you are gonna see a bunch of Willies out there.
Bunch of Willies out there killing it. You know, because he's not really. I've played against him a few times. I played quite a few tournaments in Michigan area, and so I knew about him, and I knew he was a good player. But it's like, who was the other person who got second? Not me.
Not you.
I mean, did sneak up. Yeah.
Yeah, but who cares who got second? Did they? Who got their tweet on Sports Center? That's what I want to know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
What do you mean the other person who got second?
There wasn't a tie. Felberg Nico or Felberg take third?
Willie took second solo.
Yeah.
And then Nico took third, and Conrad took fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's going to be a lot of stories like that to where you're going to look at the leaderboard and there's going to be a 980 and 990 guy, you know, just kind of killing it. That's how good people are these days. What was it, like 20 under was like not even top 20? Or what
20 under put you at 17th, and that was Michael Joe.
See what I mean? Like, that course is not easy, dude.
Yeah.
The ratings weren't very high for the tournament because there wasn't a lot of out of bounds. It was almost natural OB. But, you know, this reminded me a lot of like the Beaver State Fling as well, how the level of play was so high that, you know, 10-15 didn't cash. It's just the way that it is now, you know. I don't know who I was talking to Jeremy. He's like, yeah, I got like 50th. I've been getting 50th like every other tournament. And that's it. You slip up. If you're going to slip, these guys are going to beat you, you know? Because they're, unfortunately for like the level, like even that I play at, if I'm out there and I know I'm not going to win, it's really hard to bring it, you know? It's really hard to bring my 100% A game. These 990 guys, they're licking their chops, man. They know they're not going to win the tournament. They're just out there like, oh, come on, like, let's go. Like, every single shot matters to them. And it's like, and those guys will get you. You know, they're fighting.
They're hungry.
For the top 10 spot. Yes, very
hungry. They want to put you on their bitch list.
Yep. And the old BL.
That's
it's not, it doesn't really happen.
What does Willie say about that?
Willie's got you on his list. He just crossed you off.
Beat me before anyway.
But you've got these guys now that, in general, and we're seeing it a little bit here in Wisconsin this weekend with the Silver Cup, where we're bringing in a bunch of 1,000-rated players to an event that traditionally has, you know, before it was a Pro Tour event, you would get like a 1,000 or 2,000 rated players. I was talking to a friend of mine today who's playing, and he's thinking is like, I would love to take down one of those guys. I would love to be able to put them on a list to say I beat them, because they're expected to beat me when they come up to this event.
Sure.
And he's, you know, a high 900s rated player, 980, 990, whatever. And all he's thinking is like, I know these courses. I might be able to put one in my back pocket. I'm not going to probably win, but you're right. That's what they're looking at. They're taking every one of these shots seriously.
When I was coming up, Avery Jenkins was my last guy. I remember it. I notched all of them one by one. And I remember remembering it, like being like, Avery's the last one that I got to beat. And then I beat them all, you know? And it took a while. And I remember telling them, too, like, you're the last one, man. I'm going to get you, you know?
Oh,
and
that's
so
great.
I know that's what they're thinking for sure.
When you come back, you're going right to Idlewild. What are we going to be in mid-July? I mean, that's 2 weeks. What's kind of on the short schedule after that for you? What are you looking at?
I'm kind of up in the air, honestly. I haven't really looked at the schedule. I might go home for a little bit, just depending on. This is a tough little stretch of the tour right now. I'll probably be a little burnt out and need some, you know, some alone time maybe, or some relaxing time, maybe go on a small vacation or something like that. But I'm not 100% sure. I know that the next big one I'll be at is Ledgestone, like everybody.
Are you tired? Not just like now, but I mean, are you just ramping up? You know, this is mid-season stride. You're ready for that mid-season work.
You know, I was pretty tired for a little bit, but I went home and I got some rest, and I took a small vacation a couple weeks ago, and I feel good. My game feels good. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, you know, at the major. I don't like to go places and play anymore if I don't feel like I'm going to be able to compete, you know. So I do feel good. But I'm also looking forward to the break, you know, in between Idlewild and Ledgestone.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And now we're on a kind of an every other week schedule with at least the Pro Tour, and then you're going to have, you know, the Junior Worlds, the Am Worlds, which obviously are places where you can either relax or you might involve yourself a little bit, but you're not necessarily at that competitive level, you know, worrying about shots, you know, week in and week out. Pro Masters Worlds is around the corner. Those are some of the weeks where I think we're going to continue to see, like a Paige Pierce, you know, take the week off. You don't have to be out throwing, and you could be involved in the sport in some other way, or you may decide to, you know, just completely remove yourself from the sport for a few days and go do something else that recharges your batteries.
Right, exactly.
So it makes sense.
Exactly.
I want to share a little piece. The day we're gonna walk myself down yesterdecade. The day I accepted cash to become a professional disc golfer was the day that I tied Avery Jenkins And what is unique to me about that is the fact that I had been offered cash 2 or 3 times before that in that same year. The year was 2000. I was offered cash at a couple of tournaments. I'd placed well enough in the pro division, and I declined them thinking I wanted to play Worlds that year. And it was at Hudson Mills Metro Park in Michigan. I think it was like a tie for 4th or something like that behind 3 other really, really good players. And I tied Avery Jenkins on what was considered a pretty significant track, the Hudson Mills courses. And I tied him. And at that point, I said, if I can tie an Avery Jenkins today, I'm ready to play pro. And that was the day I had officially become a professional disc golfer. So we have that funny shared story, and that's how Avery impacted me in my opinion about playing pro. So pretty crazy.
That is cool, man.
Little tidbit for you. Were you alive in the year 2000? Yeah, you probably were.
Yeah.
You youngsters. All right, Yuli, you got to be boarding soon. We do not want to be responsible for you missing your next flight.
I'll board in like 10 minutes, so I do have to go. I did want to say good luck to everybody playing the Junior World Championships. I'm sure they're all in bed, or they better be.
They better be, yeah.
At this point, at this point. But if they, hit the rewind button and watch this, I wanted to let them know that we're all watching, and good luck. And yeah.
You got some real quick. You got some. Do you know of how much Prodigy? You have a Prodigy Junior team or street team or street junior team or whatever they're representing? Do you know if you have a lot of guys or girls over there or no? Do you know off the top of your head?
I'd have to look at the list.
Okay.
I haven't looked at the list because then one of the reasons I was a little confused about Worlds and Junior Worlds now being separate. And I heard about that last year, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together, so this kind of snuck up on me.
Sure.
Because I was trying to make plans to make Worlds.
Okay.
And so when I saw this, that kind of confused me. So I haven't looked at the list. But yeah, there's a couple players that I'm sure that are going to be playing there.
Okay. Well, maybe, and I'm hoping to be at Junior Worlds, or I'm sorry, Worlds as well. And maybe if it works out, maybe we'll be seeing you over there.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, travel safely. Best of luck to you. We hope you get fully refueled and ready to go, and you push aside some of that jet lag, get out there for your practice round, and go kick some ass out there this weekend.
Awesome, guys. Have a good night.
All right, take
thanks,
care.
Yuli.
Travel safely. All right, Paul Ulibarri. Wow. I mean, we've had UC, I believe. Maybe briefly had 1 or 2 Australians, I think, maybe chime in for a moment or a brief chat, but he's one of our most distant guests. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Geography, I'm good at it. He's over there. I'm looking at a world map.
Technically,
unless you go the opposite.
Most likely, almost any direction you point to, you'll eventually
get there. I forgot my flat map at home, so I wasn't sure which way to point. All right, I think we've pretty much covered anything, unless there's anything.
We have to do a Patreon giveaway.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Let's do a Patreon giveaway, and to follow what was discussed, there was a comment made earlier, probably by me. I'm a little surprised, and I posted this last night. It was posted by, I believe I saw UC himself, and if it wasn't UC, then it was Spin, and I hate to use them interchangeably if it wasn't.
It was Spin, and then UC shared it.
Okay. Oh, there we go. So close enough. They had posted, because some people had asked, as I meant to ask, Jonathan, if he was going to be there. Obviously, we're not going to be there in any capacity. Understandable. I was a little surprised that what was posted is there's going to be round coverage of MPOs, rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the schedule also said round 4, presumably lead card of FPO.
You're wrong.
Is it 3 rounds?
No, you've got to be wrong. Because I heard that we're going to get equal coverage.
Oh. I don't know. I feel like I was on this very podcast a few weeks ago, though.
I'm just saying you have to be, right? That
I don't know, but it's certainly an interesting question, and I may sound like a total jerk, and I'm not sure that I care. I don't understand what is going on, and I guess I could leave it at that. I don't understand that, and I commented almost immediately when I saw it at 4 or 5 in the morning my time as I was up editing. I said, I'm surprised. I'm excited for the event. I'm surprised that there is just one round of FPO coverage, lead card FPO coverage. I'm surprised by that. And the response that was written back was, I should quote it, but it was something to the effect of, we wish there were more too, and hopefully there will be in the future if there's more budget. Something to do along those lines. This is a PDGA major. At the FPO division, I'm not talking about a
I'm sure
highest level division. We are talking about the FPO division, and we are talking about 4 rounds of MPO coverage, which is exciting and awesome, and of course everyone's going to eat it all up and expected. I am shocked to see that there's going to be only the final round coverage. And I hope what doesn't happen is what happened at the Aussie Open a few years ago, when final round coverage of FPO was promised, and due to heat, which I totally understand, but there was then no coverage of that either in a post-production format. So I'm going to say, if you are male or female and you're disappointed by this, I think you have the right to be. I am. I'm genuinely disappointed, and more so, I'm not understanding of it. I'm not understanding how a few weeks ago on this show, we had a discussion about this coverage of Beaver State Fling, for instance, which is great that ultimately I was able to cover 2 rounds of MPO third card, and I covered 2 rounds of FPO for a 4-round event. I don't understand the 4 rounds of MPO and the 1 round of FPO. And I'm going to leave it at that. If somebody's got answers, I'd love to hear them.
I'm sure.
I can't speculate as to why in the world this is a thing.
I'm sure we'll hear from
But I don't think budget's the answer.
Budget isn't the answer. They can't be. If budget's the answer, there needs to be some ass kicking. Period.
Well,
period.
Like, if budget's the answer, I would think budget would be able to shift to not 4 and 1.
That can't be an answer that comes back. And I am sure tomorrow, after this, we will hear from the PDGA
or the event or whomever. I don't care where it comes from.
It has to come from the PDGA. It is a PDGA major, right? I mean, the event, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but the event is not obligated to provide any coverage.
I think you're probably wrong by that.
Really? Like,
it's a PDGA major, therefore somewhere within the tour documents and standards, I am guessing there is something that talks about media coverage. I don't know what it is or what it's been updated to, but I'm sure somewhere within there it talks about some requirements. And I'm sure we could find it if we search for it. I'm sure there are some requirements for being a PDGA major in terms of what the media is to do. But I had said, being a major, I'm a little surprised at the single round of FPO coverage with 4 rounds of MPO coverage, and the Spin TV. So we can disassociate it from UC, even though that's where I originally saw it. Said, we hope that one day budgets allow that. I hope so too. All right, guys, let's give away some stuff.
Let's give away some stuff from Patreon. Every week we give away a wonderful Patreon prize. Do you have something this week or no?
I've got stuff. I was thinking about what I was thinking about. It was digging out something Paul McBeth signed, because I know I have a few goodies at my house.
Do you think you could do that?
I could do that.
Okay, we're gonna give away something Paul McBeth
Just
signed.
remind me.
Next week I've got a disc member package thing.
Or we could do that. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, I will gladly dig some.
Let's do the Paul McBeth thing.
Okay.
I like the Paul McBeth thing. He just shot an 18 under. I think it'd be really cool.
That was where my mind was.
For someone to have it. And then next week we'll do disc member, so we can do a little bit more promotion on it. So if you'd like to be eligible for our Patreon giveaway, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. All you got to do is be a $1 level. We are hitting. Jomez is at like the 500 patrons level.
Holy cow!
We're at like the 200 level.
We need to level up.
We do need to level up.
Like 20 levels.
Come on, folks, help us out.
Oh, I thought we do, not them.
Can we steal their patrons somehow? Can I log into their account and like just transfer patrons?
Not sure that works that way.
I don't think it works that way.
But we
Anyway, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, and you can be eligible for the weekly giveaway. So I, as always, visit random.org, which is a website that gives me a random number.
Oh, and it is not a dating website.
Not a dating website.
Random.com, on the other hand, or random.xxx. I don't think that's a thing, but it could be.
That's creepy. I don't even want to know.
Maybe it
that.
is.
Don't even want to know that. So, you had said before you were looking for a number.
Yes.
Paul Ulibari takes 2 flights to get to wherever he's going, the Czech Republic.
Okay.
Going to Pište. So we're going to hit this number 2 times. We have 198 patrons. We're going to hit generate, and it's number 124. I scroll down to 124, and I have Cody Peterson.
Hey, Cody.
Congratulations, Cody Peterson. You are this week's Patreon Super Giveaway.
And
you'll get something McBeth signed. Right from Terry's personal stash.
It will be.
Cody Peterson.
All right. Well, we'll send you a message. Cody, make sure you please reply to the email that comes from Johnny. Reply back to me as well, and make sure to that we can confirm your mailing address. And then wait anywhere from 1 to 6 weeks, and then it will show up. But it always will show up.
It does show up.
It always does. It just sometimes... I do leave tomorrow for Emporia, just so everyone knows. I'll be back for a couple days, then turn around and leave for Kentucky 2 days after that. But we'll get you your stuff. We'll get you your action.
We're all over that.
Byron Allen, sorry you lost this week. That is pretty funny, as Byron likes to be a regular winner. And we're being bribed on the board. I'm not sure it's even worth mentioning because it's not a big enough bribe.
That decimal spot is in the wrong spot for a bribe, let me just say.
Orlando Unicorn, whoever that might be, says, running for PDGA board, consider this my brib. But thank you,
Vote
Orlando.
Unicorn. If you don't see Orlando Unicorn on there, write it in.
And in all seriousness, Derek Savory, I believe it was, super chatted way earlier in the show. Amp style, you 2B. I love just saying it and butchering it every time for you. Also a super chatter tonight. Thank you so much. Bill Sherman, I believe, was a super chatter. Seriously, guys, thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate it. And I should have led with this way earlier, and remind me to say it again next week. Go out and listen to the PDGA podcast, the special edition podcast that breaks down our PDGA board candidates. It was great. I listened to it on the way to Michigan, and I don't know if it's rude to say, but if you don't know who you're going to vote for after listening to that, then get your ears cleaned. To me, it became very obvious and apparent. And I had a notion or two, and I kind of, as they say, a gut instinct, and my gut's large enough to have multiple instincts. But wow. When you listen to that, and however you may align yourself, I feel like it was incredibly insightful. It was very well done. Steve Hill, thank you for doing it. I loved it. I loved, and I feel like that should be done. I'll admit, I did not watch any of the video candidate videos that they were all linked to or able to put out at some point. I didn't watch any of those. I did, however, listen to this entire podcast, and for me, it was crystal clear exactly who I can and should be voting for. So that's what it did for me. Hopefully, it will do the same for you guys. It was insightful. Yeah. It should be very clear.
I voted alphabetically.
Perfect.
Just kidding.
Well, then, Unicorn. Orlando Unicorn. Last name Unicorn. Unless you voted reverse alphabetically.
I'm not telling you. It's my personal vote.
Yes.
Don't ask me.
Yes. Or vote for Daniel Reynoso. I mean, he helps with UDisc.
Daniel is a recent Patreon supporter, so thank you, Daniel. Yeah, he just got on there.
Daniel? Man, are we going to have to give shout-outs for all the great stuff you do all the time?
We'd be here all night.
We don't have time for that. Save me listening to it. Just tell me who to vote for, Terry. I'm not sure this is the right place or time. But I will say, go out and listen to it. And when you do, I think it should be crystal clear. Be really clever if there was a person in there named Crystal, but no, there's no pun or no play there whatsoever. It should just be clear. All right, guys, we're gonna call it. It's been a great week. And the other word I need to quit saying, there should be a drinking game. I'll tell you now. I caught myself using the word tremendous too many times. I don't know why. Things were tremendous. I don't know. But I caught myself at some point during the broadcast this weekend saying that word. And so buzz me when I say it, because
I don't recall that.
It's too many. Well, it's been a few too many. So I don't know where I was going with that. It's been that's what I was going to say. It's been a tremendous week. Seriously, I mean, how can you not love what just went down in Michigan? I'm excited to talk to Steve Dodge about next year's tour and who's locking in and where we're going and how things are playing out. Just thank you to Discraft. Thank you to John. Thank you to Bob Giulio and Mike Wagner and all of the Discraft staff and crew that allowed us to do what we did. Thank you to Dixon Jowers, who was right there carrying the show with us and doing so many good things. Obviously, just everyone, all hands on deck. But thank you to Discraft. You guys presenting the event. As Discraft said, they presented the event. They helped with all the details for the course to be the course. They sponsor a ton of players that are there. They put us up in their factory to be able to use it. Like, just a lot of support. And hats off to them. They did great, and we really certainly appreciate it. All right, for Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, I'm going to read the chats afterwards and interact with you guys. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to Paul Ulibarri for headlining our after show all the way from France. We'll see you next week for 204 when you step inside the Smash Box.